organization for Palm Beach County.
Quentin? Quentin looks at his clock. Is it okay?
It is.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the October 15th DDA meeting. Go ahead for it, Lily.
Jim Knight,
Present.
Vera Woodson,
Present.
Brian Rosen,
Present.
Alan Costello,
Present.
Cole Devitt,
Present.
Arne Halliburton, and at this moment Harold Arman is not present yet.
Okay. I wanted to start off today by telling everybody that I'm going to try and be a much better chair and abide far more by the Roberts rules and ask that everybody wait until the chair calls on you before we start a conversation so that the microphone picks up just one person and so we keep some semblance of order. I think last meeting I was a little bit too lenient and we were all very aggressive and we made some great points, but we also ran late and while also making some points that really weren't necessary. So with that, what's next, Laura?
Agenda approval.
Oh, agenda
please.
approval. Yeah, does anyone have any changes to make or additions or to the agenda? No. Then do we need an action
All
vote?
in favor? We could do all in favor if you like. Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Great, agenda's approved. What's next?
Public comments?
Well, it looks
Or
like we
partner
have some.
comments?
So any
Well,
public
first-
comments? We're limited to 2 minutes. I know how to read it. I just hold it like this. Thank you so much. I trust Laura to run the meeting with me. Are there any public comments? Then I guess with that, we close the public comments. Okay,
Right, public comment is closed.
okay, thanks.
So we move to item 1, which is the presentations.
Yeah, and is this from Rhonda?
It is. We have
Thank you very much for my book
Oh, you're welcome.
and my pen.
Hello, everyone. I'm Rhonda Geiger. I'm with the Palm Beach County Commission on Ethics. Happy to be here. I put this together just for you, so it's really short and sweet. But I want you to ask questions if you have them.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. I thought it was me. Okay, so this is just a quick little presentation. I'm not covering everything in the code. Normally when I do this training, it's an hour and 15 minutes or so. I promise I have not done that to you. I picked a couple of the sections that we get the most questions or the most violations on, and I put together some scenarios just for those. So we're going to go through this, but please stop me if you have questions. That's kind of the whole point of these. So I'd rather you ask now than forget to ask. So jumping in, these are our objectives, and I think when the commission was first brought into effect, our objectives were slightly different in that we did a lot more investigations. Now we really want to be here to answer questions. We want to deal with the things preemptively and proactively as opposed to reactively. We will obviously deal with them reactively, but we really want to be here to answer questions. We take phone calls all the time. Contrary to what I was always told, sometimes there are ethics emergencies. I got a phone call like 2 Fridays ago at like 9:30. Somebody wanted to go to a gala the next night and they needed to know if they could accept the ticket. So we'll, we do that. We're here for you guys. We'll get you through those situations. We don't want you to miss things that you don't need to miss just because you've accepted this position. But after that, we do investigate complaints. We also provide advisory opinions, so please feel free to reach out to us for those. Those advisory opinions are so important. They become a part of our body of law. So if you reach out to us with a scenario that we think is worth putting in writing so other people can also rely on it, we will put together a written advisory opinion that is then approved by our board and published. So not only can you rely on it, anybody can rely on it. So please let us know if you feel like you need an advisory opinion and you want everybody out here to know that you have asked us and it's okay for you to still participate in something or engage in some behavior or accept some gift, things like that. Obviously, we deliver trainings. That's why I'm here. Community outreach, same thing. I'm combining this meeting with my annual meet and greet, which I like to just come say hi and remind everybody that we're here. And we do want to make sure everybody understands their responsibilities. Obviously, I'm never going to teach anybody ethics, but what I can do is teach you about the codified body of law that is our code of ethics. So hopefully you can then find a way to make your behavior fit into that body of law. So what's the purpose? First thing we want to do is promote honest and ethical conduct with our elected and appointed officials and any employees, any public employees. We want to make sure we protect confidential information. We have to make sure that we're not sharing things that are not yet open to the general public and then acting on that knowledge. We want to increase public trust in local government. This is where it starts, folks. I mean, if people become disengaged at the local level, you better believe that they're going to become disengaged all the way down the line. So when we have people here that we can actually talk to and have a face-to-face conversation with, let's do our best to make sure that they think we're out here for the general public good. And even if they don't agree with us, each individual decision we make, at least they can believe we're doing it for the better public good and not our own to benefit ourselves. And on that note, to prevent conflicts of interest between public and private issues. So our goal is transparency. We want the public to believe that we are doing the right thing. All right, so prohibited conduct. I've just picked out a couple of these sections to go over today. I picked the ones that are the most, as I said, the most common that we run into with questions and with investigations. So let's just jump right into that. The first one is misuse of office, and that falls under section 2-443A. And it's essentially, it states, I'm gonna do my best to simplify it. Obviously, lawyers wrote this. It says public officials and employees are prohibited from using their official position in a manner that results in a special financial benefit being given to this prohibited list of 7. And this prohibited list of 7 applies all the way throughout the training. So once you know this list, once you have this list in your head, you're going to be able to analyze the code as it relates to your behaviors and your actions. So this list of 7 is you can't do anything that gives a special financial benefit to yourself, to your household member, spouse, or domestic partner, to an outside business, employer of theirs or their spouse or domestic partner, a close family relative or their business or employer, a customer or client of the outside business or employer, a significant debtor or creditor, or any organization upon which you serve as an officer or director. So any nonprofit, any church, any charitable institution. If you serve on that, then you can't give that agency a special financial benefit. So, sure, you're all saying, what's a special financial benefit? So this is the big thing here. A special financial benefit is one that is not shared with similarly situated members of the general public. And similarly situated means that everyone that is affected by the decision is affected in essentially the same manner. And so the example that I like to give, it's very simple and nonsensical, but I like to give it, is if you're a council member and you say, hey, I think I'm going to bring something in front of everybody. Let's vote on whether or not we should lower everybody's property taxes by $1,000. Well, that council member owns a home in that city, right? So that council member is going to benefit from that lowering of taxes. Can that council member vote on that?
No.
Yes, right. Because otherwise then nobody would ever be able to vote on anything. I mean, because everything is going to impact you as citizens of wherever you're serving. So that is a financial benefit, but not a special financial benefit. So it has to be 3 things before it becomes prohibited. So when you're looking at something in that context, we're going to look at the size of the group that is impacted by that decision. So that's where the 1% rule comes into effect. So if the class is 100 or less, it's going to be considered special. Okay, makes sense? I'm just going to jump on because I don't have a bunch of time unless you guys tell me to slow down. I know I'm a fast talker. Years of lawyering. Okay, so when analyzing misuse of office, you have to ask yourself these 3 things. Number 1, does it involve a prohibited entity? So go back to that list of 7. Number 2, is there a financial benefit? And number 3, if there is a financial benefit, is it special? So unless you have all 3 of those things, you won't have a prohibited action. All right? So let's jump into a misuse of office scenario. A local council member is the founder and CEO of a nonprofit organization. While promoting a fundraiser for the nonprofit, the council member used her city email and included her title in her signature line. Emails were sent to individuals associated with the municipality, including vendors. The council member also promoted the fundraiser on both her official and personal Facebook page. Within those promotional posts, there was also a request for donations to the nonprofit. As a result of this, the nonprofit received donations from both vendors and individuals. May the council member use her city email to promote the fundraiser and solicit donations? And then for extra credit, may she solicit donations from a city vendor? Okay, so the first one, what do you guys think? Does it involve a prohibited entity?
Yes. Yeah, if she's part of that.
Yeah, it involves a prohibited entity, right? So we know that's number 7. Is it a financial benefit? Yes. You guys are all saying no already, but I really want to encourage you to go through this whole analysis. So, yes, I figured you guys would. I didn't know you had printouts till I got here.
Yeah, we did.
Of course, you read ahead. Okay, no more reading ahead. And yes, it's a special financial benefit. So yes, all of those are no. You can't do that from your city email. What about the extra credit? Oh, you guys have the answers to that too, don't you?
Yeah.
Did you guys know that before you read ahead and cheated?
I just had a couple of thoughts about it, but after it said yes, it kind of all came clear.
Okay. I mean, that's one of the ones I think that people don't really realize, and when the code was originally put into effect, that exception wasn't in there, and the charities, the nonprofits, are the ones that were being penalized by that, because you guys do solicit donations, even in your personal lives from time to time, and so that made it okay, but we have that solicitation log now. Why? Because we want transparency. We want people to say, yes, it's okay for you to do that, and this is why. Yes, they did that, and they declared it, and everything's on the up and up. All right? So yes, as long as there's no quid pro quo, which is obvious, there's never a quid pro quo allowed under the Code of Ethics, and then full disclosure on a charitable solicitation log. Everybody solid with that one?
I guess the point in this is that they use their, I'm sorry, I have a teacher voice, so it can be loud without the microphone, but the point in this is that they use their email.
So the first part, no, that's the first part, yes, not the charitable. Yes, you can't use your city email, correct? Right. Exactly, and title. So you have to keep those two things separate. You can't attach your official position to something you're doing in your private time as the CEO of that fundraiser. As the CEO, of that charity. As the CEO of that charity, I can sit down all day long, even though I might hold a position as a council member, and solicit donations. It's just you can't associate that with your title and your work position.
So, and can I, for a minute, because we're on this, I rarely tell anybody that I'm on the DDA. It really doesn't give me a benefit anywhere in the city, except complaints if you tell somebody. But I am very much a volunteer around the city, so I help a lot of. I adopted a little football team, Delray Rocks, and it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so I bought them wristbands so that they'd have the pink, like the NFL, so that they could feel like they were the NFL players. And they want to have their kids go to Silver Ball for their bye week. And so I don't have a personal relationship with Silver Ball, but I am not a team mom, but I'm somebody who tries to support them. So if I go to Silver Ball and say, hey, these kids want to be able to come in and play, I'm not receiving a financial benefit, but since I am part of the
I don't know what Silver Ball is.
Oh, it's like a arcade.
An arcade.
It's a little
okay.
arcade for anyone, but it's an old school arcade. So if I went to them and said, hey, can the kids come in? It's not a benefit to me, but is that a...
Well, you're not using your official position.
At all.
So, I mean, potentially, see, again, this is there no quid pro quo and a solicitation log, potentially, but most likely not because you're not using your official position to do so. So this is one of the scenarios that I would probably want to have a little more information, and I am happy to write you an advisory opinion. We've had several from the city of Delray with respect to charitable works, so we're happy to see that.
If there's any question, I'd rather just have one of the team moms go over there and talk to them instead of me. But the reason why is I'm retired and I don't have a job, so during the day it's easier for me to go and do those types of things.
I mean, I'll tell you, with the limited facts I have, I don't see a problem because you're not soliciting donations on behalf of, I mean, those aren't actual donations, right? That's not a cash donation. So. No. On the facts you've given me, I don't see a problem, but if you want me to look at it like line by line, please reach out to me. I'm happy to do that.
Okay, the other one that was in here that kind of pertains to this is I'm also a part of a sorority, and we had an organization that came that wants to celebrate 12 Days of Christmas that does a great event here, and I expressed to them that maybe I can get my sorority to donate some bikes to their 12 Days of Christmas. Now, again, not a financial benefit to me in any way, and I wouldn't receive anything, but you're as the students used to say, you're the plug, Miss Woodson, you put people together. But how does that work?
You're the donee, so.
Okay. I just want to make sure that there's
that doesn't
not
appear
a question,
to be,
because I do a lot of stuff like this to help charities and kids, but...
Yeah, that doesn't appear as since you're not accepting anything, you're not receiving anything. That doesn't even appear to me to implicate the code.
Thank you.
Sure. Anybody else? No? Okay. I'll move on to voting conflicts. So an official may not vote on or participate in any matter which will provide a special financial benefit to specific persons or entities. Since you guys read ahead, you know it's the same list of 7. I'm not going to read them again. As I said, this applies throughout the code, so just familiarize yourself with these. So just when you're looking at something. So let's move on to another scenario. A council member for a local municipality sees an agenda item for an issue on her daughter's street. She lives at a dead end with 11 other homes. The item proposes that a no outlet sign be added to the intersection. There will likely be both a discussion and a vote on whether or not to install this road sign. May the council member participate in discussions and vote on this issue? So you read ahead, but still, let's go through it. Does it involve a prohibited entity? Yeah? Yep. Family member. So yep, her daughter would be a prohibited entity. Is it a financial benefit? What do you guys think? My quick opinion on this is no. I would call this remote and speculative. I don't think that a no outlet sign really is going to be a financial benefit. So despite the fact that it would be special if there were a financial benefit, I think that this is most likely this person can vote on this. So this is one of those situations where we really have to pay attention to, like, people get, they get sort of in a frenzy that, well, this person voted on something that involved her daughter. And they get really wrapped up in that, where we don't prohibit all votes that involve a list of the prohibited entities, right? It has to be a special financial benefit before it becomes a problem under the code.
What about the fact that it's less than 100 people?
Well, you have to have all 3 before it's prohibited.
Okay.
So it would, if there were a financial benefit, it would be special. But in theory, you don't even get to step 3 because you haven't gotten past the financial benefit component. So good? Make perfect sense now? Yeah? Okay. So one more. A local municipality intends to pave every street within its borders. They've broken up the project by neighborhoods, but the size of each neighborhood varies. One council member lives in neighborhood 1, and there are 20 ownership entities. A different council member is on the board of a nonprofit animal shelter located in neighborhood 2. There are 135 ownership entities in that neighborhood. There's a concern that the paving funding will run out before the project is completed, so the order of paving is very important. A discussion and vote is before council to determine which neighborhood to pave first. May the council member who lives in neighborhood 1 discuss or vote on this project. Is it a prohibited entity? Yes, it's himself or herself, whoever it is. Yes, so we know that's, and yes, in both scenarios, actually. Is it a financial benefit? Yes, paving adds value. We should all know that by now. Is it special? Yes.
Because the funding will run out if they go in a certain order.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things we would look at as, like, if I were analyzing this, we know it's special because the neighborhood is how big? 20, I think it was 20.
20, yeah.
So 20, so we know it's special because it's under 100. So in this scenario, yes, it's going to be special because it's under 20. What about the number 2? Can he vote, or she, whoever the board member is? Yes? You guys into this? I like it. See?
The crowd is involved.
Ooh. He's right, yes,
Yeah.
because it's big, right? 135. So yes, that's, it's not, I have these reversed, don't I? I have them reversed. I'm so sorry. It's prohibited for number 1, and in number 2, it is not prohibited. So I'm just going to put a spin on that. So yes, number 1, the person may not vote because it's special financial benefit. And number 2, even if it is a financial benefit, it's not special, right? Okay.
I got a question. So these elements, like the 3 elements, are those determined by like one individual in the ethics committee, or are there like 3 individuals who? Because there's like counter arguments.
So, there's so many,
Yeah.
for sure. I've really simplified it. I'll tell you that we have had scenarios where there are exactly 100, like we call them ownership entities, because sometimes there would be a house that had 5 owners. Do you count that as 5? So we have now made it so, like, one parcel of property, even if it's owned by 5 people, it's considered one ownership entity. So we have a whole
So it's
body
like
of
special exceptions.
yeah, so, well, not so much exceptions, but there are, this is just one of the things that we will look at, especially if it's close. If it's 20, that's pretty easy. That's going to be way too small of a class. If it's 98, we're going to broaden it out and look at a lot of other factors, whether or not it's potentially remote and speculative. We follow the state not guidelines, but the state body of law on this, so we would then go to what the state has ruled in similar situations, because ours is written identical to theirs, and the 1% is also their baseline. So we do look at other things. We don't end it at 1%. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. I like it when that happens. Okay, moving on. So we got, see, I did it right. Great, I did it right. No and yes. All right, gift law. We're going to do this real quick, too. The one thing you need to know about gift law is there are some absolute prohibitions: no kickbacks or bribes, no quid pro quo, and tips with one exception. Can anybody tell me what that exception is? If you're working in a service industry, a service industry that is owned by the municipality, that is the sole exception here. So a restaurant, that probably we could make the argument it could be expanded, like if you work at a golf course. It's an area that is commonly known to receive tips as part of their compensation. So that's how it's written. So that's the only exception. You can't get a tip just for doing a good job, for putting the water meter in extra clean and putting the dirt back properly. You can't get a tip for that. It has to be an occupation in which tips are normally a part of compensation.
Is there a limit to the tip?
No.
So you get $1 million tip?
Are you a restaurant or service industry? I'm telling you, I was a bartender for a long time. I was in the service industry. Nobody ever offered me a $1 million tip, and I was a really good bartender, I swear. So, more power to you if you think you're going to get that. But yeah, so tips are the only exception in this situation. So gift law. Prohibition on soliciting or accepting over $100 annually in the aggregate in gifts from any vendor, bidder or proposer, lobbyist, or principal or employer of a lobbyist who lobbies for your public employer. All right? So, what would you do here? Sam's on an advisory board for a municipality. During the holidays, an enormous gift basket is delivered to Sam's home. Sam does a quick check and realizes the basket is worth $200. The basket was a gift from a person who recently appeared before the advisory board as a lobbyist. May Sam accept the gift basket?
No, but I have a
You guys-
question.
these guys, I'm done. You guys don't have the these guys don't have the answers. I'd rather. They said no.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
said. The question though, okay, and not that I would do this, but could you open up the basket and take out up to $100 and give the rest of it back? I'm just
gonna
saying.
say no because you have essentially it's that whole you know
Yes.
the sum of the parts type
Correct.
of a thing.
That's what I wanted to know.
So
That's
I
why
would
was
say
asking.
no. But
Well, I don't get gift baskets.
You eat
number
half
one.
of
but-
everything.
yeah,
Exactly. Exactly.
So what section of the code? I think we all know this. So yeah, why not? Because you can't accept more than $100 from a lobbyist. What section of the code? But what should Sam do?
Return the basket and thank them and explain that there is a code of ethics violation with receiving that basket.
Anything else he could do, or she, whoever Sam is?
He could
gender
disclose
neutral?
it.
What does that do? Let's
That-
talk about that. Does that fix it?
It doesn't fix it, but it opens it up to transparency.
She caught.
You didn't accept it. You're saying I'm giving this back, and here's
Oh,
what.
yeah, you don't have to disclose it if you give it back.
Oh.
And there's really, you may want to say, hey, this happened if you really want full transparency, but I thought you meant disclose it like on a gift form. You can't fix a prohibited gift by disclosing it on a gift form, just so you know. What else? Anybody know the next answer, the next possibility?
Can he buy it?
You could pay back the $100. You could give him $100. So yeah, you could give back anything that brought you down to that acceptable level. So you just have to make sure you.
That's expensive gift.
True story. I'm not saying you have to do it. I'm saying
Yeah,
that
if you want to keep it, yeah.
is if you want to keep it. Yeah. If you want to keep. I use the example of Sunfest tickets a lot. People will get 2 Sunfest tickets, and they're $75 each, so they can pay back $50 and take somebody to Sunfest.
What if they gave the gift basket to charity and got a write-off in the name of the entity that gave them the gift basket? And
Can't
said-
do that either. That's
just
accepting.
asking-
That's just
just
accepting
asking.
the gift basket.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, really, here the only. We could go into a bunch of different scenarios. Like,
Send
what
it
if
back.
what if it was anonymous? What if you didn't know who it was from? What do you do then as a public servant? I mean, I can promise you nobody's ever given me a gift basket where I
do you
work.
do?
Nobody's ever given me a pencil.
What do you do if you get it
What do you guys
anonymously?
think? I mean, I think what I would do is I would go through the same motions. I would check to see how much the basket was worth, and that's just a public source type of a thing that you have to do. So a bouquet of flowers, any gift, just figure out what it's worth. If it's over 100 and you don't know where it came from, I would recommend you bring it into your office, or you bring it to this meeting. You do something like
Or
that.
send it to your office.
No, definitely don't do
Just
that.
kidding.
Divest yourself from it. Once you have started sharing that, you have broken down the value, right?
yeah.
So if you share that $200 gift basket with 10 people, even if it's from a prohibited source, it's become an allowed gift.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, that's why we're here.
No anonymous gifts, guys. No secret admirers.
That's why we're here, though. We'll answer those questions. We'll help you through any of this kind of stuff.
So a couple of things I think that on this board here in particular that I've seen so forth, I have unfortunately been through an ethics violation, came up totally clean, everything else, so forth, because it was a much greater party than 100 people. It affected thousands of properties and so forth. Happened to vote on something that my brother affected my brother-in-law, and when I went in front of the ethics commission, not only did they say it wasn't a conflict, but had I not voted, it would have been a conflict. So, and this was up at the county, and then a nice comfortable chair up there, nervous, waiting for a year, so forth. But I think more so to this board is like, if I say I'm coming to the DDA meeting, I've always been told, because I've sat on boards in the county for 30 plus years, you can't reply all. If I happen to see Vera and she says, are you going to the DDA meeting? I can't say, yeah, I'll see you at the DDA meeting, because I've been told that, it starts to set up a precedent of what may or may not happen. And even if we walk into the restroom afterwards and say, hey, what do you think about this or that? You can't talk about anything that's ever going to come up in front of the board, correct?
Well, your sunshine law on me, which
Right.
is not the ethics, code of ethics, but sunshine, that's safe. Yep.
And then what was the other thing I meant to ask about? I think that's it for now. It might come back to me, but
Okay.
yeah, it's just got to be very careful not to say anything to anybody about any business that's ever coming in front of us or whatever else. So
Yeah,
that
and
seems to be
again,
an issue here.
that's generally going to be unless what you say brings implicates a special financial benefit. What you're talking about generally is sunshine law stuff, which is not code of ethics stuff, but it's equally as important. It's just different from what we're doing at the Commission on Ethics.
What if it were a lobbyist talking to him outside the meeting?
Well, it depends on what they're saying, doesn't it? I mean,
Vote for me.
They can talk to lobbyists. You guys can talk to lobbyists. It just, we can't limit what you guys talk about. It's just, or we can't limit you guys talking. It's just there are going to be certain restrictions on what you talk about. So, you and I could go outside right now, and I could tell you about this great foster dog I have that needs a home. Anybody? That's not a violation, right? So, are you interested in the foster dog? She's really great.
What kind of dog?
She's just a mix. She's the sweetest dog.
Send me a pic afterward.
Okay. I've had her 3 weeks, and she is perfect.
Is she good with other dogs?
She's good with dogs, cats, kids, people, everything you could think of. She's awesome.
We'll take it offline. But.
Okay. Great.
What about us making?
See, we could talk about this after the meeting.
What about us making a donation to something that the DDA runs? Like I go into the museum and want to leave a donation. Am I allowed to do that?
Yeah, you can do it. I mean, again, you're the donee, not
Right.
the recipient. So, I mean, and again, I'm going to give these general answers with the belief that there is not a quid pro quo. There's no inherent sort of conflict that's behind this donation, that you're not doing it with any anticipation of something happening. So my answers are based on that. My answers are based on good faith at this point. If there's any element of bad faith, then I would change my answer.
I barely made it through finger painting in kindergarten,
Okay.
so it's not like my artwork's going to be getting sold at the
That's what I
museum.
mean. So yeah, I'm assuming good faith with these answers. I'm sure your finger painting was excellent. Any more questions on gifts?
Anybody?
Okay, so we're a civil enforcement board. These are our sanctions: letter of reprimand, letter of instruction, fine of up to $500 per violation, and restitution if it's necessary. We can refer to the state attorney if it's, if it looks like it's a crime, and we will. But generally, this is what we do. So thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions, anybody? Any questions from the crowd? Yes.
Can you please come present at all the advisory boards?
I'd be happy to. Yes, honestly, we're here for trainings. That's what hopefully you guys have all watched the video, but I can say it with 100% belief that you get more from an in-person training than you do the video. As lovely as the video is, you can't ask questions, and you don't get the scenarios that are going to relate to you. So, thank you so much for having me.
Actually, there is
Extra info for the dog.
Yes, great, perfect. Yeah.
One last question.
Yes.
So DDA is putting on a concert, and they give us tickets. Are we allowed to take those tickets or not allowed to take those tickets?
Well, so there's a whole there's a whole different. The answer generally, as long as it comes from the DDA and not the agency, so typically those tickets are going to be written into a contract. So like you're putting on a concert, but everybody else is, it has sponsors and there's a bunch of other things. Typically there are tickets written into the contract, and it's okay if it comes from your agency. I don't want to answer that carte blanche, but typically that's okay. Yes, did I sort of answer it? I mean, I am a lawyer after all. I'm rarely going to give anybody a yes or no.
Yeah, it depends.
It depends.
See, I'm not the only one.
If it's my daughter, which I don't have, and it's Taylor Swift, the answer is no, because it's well over $100.
Well, I mean, no. Again, though, and that's the portion of gift law I didn't cover, is it's only prohibited over $100 if it comes from a prohibited source. So if I say to you, hey, I have 2 tickets to the Taylor Swift concert. I can't go. Do you want them? They're worth $2,000. Can you accept those?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay with
Take
us.
them. It's Taylor Swift, Jimmy.
I mean, then make some money on them. But what do you do if you accept those tickets? You just file a gift form saying you accepted a gift. It's it. There's no upper limit. There's no upper limit on a gift you can accept from a non-prohibited source. It's the prohibited source that gets people in trouble.
Do you have to report everything like that?
Over $100.
Wow.
So I had to pare down the training just a little, so I didn't cover that. But again, I'm happy to come do a full training, Laura, if you guys ever want it. So
Big Al was worried about holiday gifts from his family.
Nobody in my family likes me that much.
mine either.
I'm okay. I'm safe.
Me too. I'm also safe.
Rhonda, thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We ready to go on with
All right,
the
yes,
next?
next.
Okay.
Appreciate the participation.
Thank you. All right. So next we have our presentation from our tourism partner from the county, the Discover the Palm Beaches. Sergio?
Thank you, Laura. Members of the board, Laura, Suzanne, and all. We are very appreciative to be here. We're going to kind of give you a quick update on tourism, but also what we do and how we work together with you, organizations like yourself, different cities, and all that good stuff, and a few other things. We even have a good video to show you. A quick thing on who we are. We're Discover the Palm Beaches, and for nearly the last 25 years, I've been working with Discover the Palm Beaches, and our vision and mission hasn't changed too much over those years. Position the Palm Beaches as Florida's premier tourism destination and grow the tourism economy. Quite simple. But who we are, again, we're the official marketing corporation for Palm Beach County tourism. We're a nonprofit organization contracted under Palm Beach County government. Now, we answer to a 24-member board, 7 of which are appointed by county commissioners. In fact, we have a board meeting in a little while here down in Boca. And we are part under the umbrella of the Tourist Development Council, the TDC. And under that umbrella is the Film Commission, the Sports Commission, the Cultural Council for Palm Beach County, and some money also goes to environmental resources. But we are basically funded by the bed tax, that 6% tax on hotel rooms, which pays for the big majority of what we do. And like I said, that destination team, we are part of that TDC, but then we also work with different partner organizations like yourself, whether it's the DDA, whether it's the Chamber down the street here, whether it's the City of Delray here in this building. We were here just a few months ago talking to the city manager. And then also we had a presentation with the Chamber not too long ago. So the way we see it is that investing in the tourism economy means working with all organizations across different cities. And it's great to have downtown Delray Beach. I don't have to tell you that Atlantic Avenue and the surrounding areas are pretty darn good, and it is easy sell. For my money, it's one of my favorite spots in the whole county, not just saying that because I'm standing here in front of you. I do like coming down to Delray, and like I said, visitors really do enjoy Atlantic Avenue. And through the years, we've built up different content on downtown Delray Beach, whether it's videos, whether it's on the cover of our present visitors guide, whether it's talking about Restaurant Month and so forth. The way we see it, this is one of the best tourism assets we have in this county. And then, which means that local promotion, the way you see it, local tourism promotion is a good thing for everyone. That's why we feel that our organization, and you're going to find out how we do work with you, is that we work for you. We represent everybody in this county. It's not just like individual parts of the county or different cities. We go from the Jupiter down to here, in Delray and Boca, out to the lake. And we are also a community-driven organization. You'll see us out there into the community. I'm sure if that's...
Sorry.
Okay. All right, thank you, Sam. You'll see us out there in the community. You'll see our letters. They were right here at Delray Fair not too long ago. We actually have 2 job fairs at the end of this week on Thursday and Friday, trying to drive people into the hospitality industry. And also, we're going to touch on in a few minutes. Next month, we have a State of the Tourism Industry, which you're invited to participate and be part of. It'll be November 7th, right? 7th, right, November 7th. But we'll have a reminder notice here, November 7th at the Kravitz Center, the Cohen Pavilion. And we can send everyone invites to that, if you like, after this. So representing, like I said, representing and investing in our community. Sometimes it's hard to kind of explain in a couple words what we do, but we kind of came up with something very catchy, we think, is remarket, resell, reconnect. We market the Palm Beaches as a destination for leisure and business travelers. We sell that idea of coming to the tropics here, coming to beautiful places like Atlantic Avenue and downtown Delray Beach, but we connect. We connect to everyone in this county, whether it's community or whether it's organizations like yourself or it's different cities We want to work with everyone to make this a great place to visit, a great place to live, and also a great place to promote. But the easiest way to kind of remember all this is in this really quick video, which you may recognize the narrator.
It's hard to imagine life getting any better in the Palm Beaches. Our community is not only a thriving home for residents, but also a fantastic destination for visitors seeking the Palm Beaches' promise of genuine hospitality that welcomes everyone. At Discover the Palm Beaches, the official tourism marketing organization for Palm Beach County, we're reaching more visitors than ever before and bringing direct benefits to our community, making tourism a win-win for everyone. Tourism generates over $10 billion annually for the local economy, as well as over $7 billion in direct visitor spending. What does that mean? Visitors generate more than $260 million in local taxes and fees. These are costs residents don't have to pay. Plus, tourism supports nearly 90,000 local jobs, providing stable incomes and opportunities for career growth right here in Palm Beach County. Tourism helps fund community events and cultural activities, enriching the lives of residents by making the Palm Beaches a vibrant, diverse, and culturally rich place to live. Additionally, tourism helps facilitate efforts to preserve our natural resources, keep our beaches beautiful, and protect our sea turtles and wildlife, all funded in part by tourist development dollars. All of these dollars come from a 6% bed tax on overnight stays in hotels and vacation rentals paid by visitors coming to the Palm Beaches and not by residents. Discover the Palm Beaches works for everyone in Palm Beach County. We work together with all the Tourist Development Council agencies to connect with businesses and residents. Together, we represent Palm Beach County to the world. There are a lot of travel destinations competing for our share of visitors, and our job at Discover the Palm Beaches is to establish a recognizable brand story to show how incredible our destination is, from Jupiter to Boca Raton to Lake Okeechobee. Thanks to these efforts, visitors are coming to the Palm Beaches to experience unsurpassed shopping, beaches, restaurants, nature, arts, golf, resorts, and more. Tourism is a cornerstone of our community's prosperity, contributing to quality of place and quality of life. It's the reason why the Palm Beaches continue to be extraordinary for residents and visitors alike. To learn more about our efforts, scan the code or visit thepalmbeaches.com/advocacy today.
And I have to say I love Susanna's voice on that. That's why I wanted her on there. My parents would be disappointed. I forgot to even say my name. I'm Sergio Piedra, Senior Director, Community Engagement and Advocacy. But let me bring on one of my colleagues who's going to talk about business intelligence.
Thank you, Sergio. All right, I'm Gustav Leibel. I'm the Senior Vice President of Research. There was a lot of great stats in that video. I'm going to dive through some Delray specific stats we have. I've been with Discover for going on 14 years. It'll be in December 14 years. So over that time, we've amassed a lot of different research, a lot of sources in here. So here's just a flavor of the big stuff that comes out of our research department. So the visitation, how many visitors are coming here, how much they're spending, which you saw in the video, the economic impact of that. We monitor hotel performance. We monitor hotel performance from about 19 different breakdowns within the county. We do a resident sentiment survey, and we monitor brand performance, everything that we market out there and we touch to our target markets. We measure the ROI on that, and we've also unveiled a new tool called Destination Demand. I'll show you a little preview of that. So in terms of visitation in here, we subscribe to a tool called Placer AI, and the DDA subscribes to this as well. There's a report in there that we have for tourism specifically, and it has every city in the county mapped out there, the actual city limits and everything, not just the zip code level data. And they look at overnight stays, so anyone that comes into the city zone, those geo-fenced areas for more than one day, they're here overnight, we're tracking those, and these are the counts on there. You can see year to date from January to July, it's up about 4% in there. And then where they're staying is primarily on the beach there, that 33783 zip code is about half of them, and then it trickles as you get further west in those three different zip codes. where they're staying overnight. And the hotel performance, we have a breakdown of the 9 hotels in Delray Beach in there, so the 1,300 rooms. This is how they performed through August of this year. You can see there's some negatives in there. The occupancy down 2.8%. The total room nights sold is essentially flat. The Hampton Inn, which is really almost a 20% increase in rooms, that opened in March 2023. But the couple of months there in the beginning of the year has created that 2.8% room inventory. So you see that sort of occupancy, and they're flat in total room nights sold. The rates, again, with the Hampton Inn, you see that sort of that new inventory. We're still in that period of trying to absorb that demand into that new inventory in there. Total room nights sold, 223,000 room nights from January to August among those 9 hotels. One phenomenon that we've seen this year has been the alternative lodging. Those are the Airbnbs, the Verbos, and all those. We have a platform called AirDNA that monitors all those platforms. They scrape all those listings every single day and monitor the performance of them. In there, we can see the number of active listings in different cities in there. So you have just under 700 active listings in Delray Beach, in the greater city in there. The stats on here that you see, this is county-wide. We don't have performance for a particular city, but the county has shown an increase of 6.2% in the total room nights sold among these accommodations, where hotels in general in the entire county is down 1.2%. So you can also take that to being flat in Delray compared to being down overall in the county is a good sign as well. This is tourism spending. This is spending from everyone, not just visitors, but also locals in the 3 zip codes that are Delray. They get this information from the Florida Department of Revenue in there, so they can only give it to me at zip code level, so there's a little bit of disconnect on the total city limits in there, but you can see coming out of the pandemic from 2019 to 22, huge increase in all sectors in there, and then sort of leveling off, which that's what we've been seeing basically in 24, is that leveling off in demand post-pandemic surge in there. Total sales and for the county year of 2023 among everyone at restaurants, lodging, recreation, and those Delray zip codes was $559 million. That's 6.4% of all the sales in that sector in the county in there. So give you kind of a relative size of how important Delray is to the county. This is specific visitor spending. This is at the county-wide level in there. So, and this is for the first 2 quarters of the year compared to last year in there. So you can see recreation has done very well, up 12%, and then all the other sectors of a couple percentage increase. Total spending in the county for the first half of the year up 2.4% in there. You can see the actual numbers on there. So 1.1 billion, and this is people coming in that don't live in Palm Beach County spending on food and beverage, and 642 million on retail.
What's contributing to what is under the umbrella of recreation that we could break down?
These are based on. Well, we can look into some details in there. So we get this data from Visa. So we get Visa credit card transactions. So how the merchants categorize themselves when the card's swiped, we have some of those reads on there. So there's lots of different kinds of businesses in there and codes and things. Yeah. This is destination demand. So we've rolled this out to all of our hotel partners. This is updated every single week, and we provide a week to week for the next 6 months probability of demand being up for that week on the hotel side, and then we have sort of metrics in there. And so just sort of a sneak peek of what you can expect for this winter season in here. Group performance, which is that first column with all the greens in there. We have more groups on the books than we do the same time last year, all the way through March. On the demand level side, where there's some of those reds in there, that's leisure demand. That's individuals searching for hotel rooms. So they're not booking hotel rooms. The booking window is about 66% of all hotel rooms are booked within 2 weeks, a lot within the week. This is actual searching behavior, shopping around for hotels in there. So we see some demand softening on that side in February and March that we're looking into. Some of the theory is with the election coming up, some people might be holding off. If that's true, then we'll see that demand resurge. But if it's not true, we're ready to deploy resources to accelerate demand for the winter season. And then lastly, for the resident sentiment survey, we do this every single year. We ask residents of Palm Beach County a slew of questions about tourism. We ask where they live. So we pull out here on this chart everyone that says they live in Delray Beach, and a couple of the key questions in here. And you see that the yellow being 2024, we have some improvements in there, especially quality of life, 1% improvement in there. There's one question in particular I found fascinating for Delray is we asked a question about, do you want more tourism, less tourism, or the same amount of tourism in the community? And in 2022, that was 14% of residents, and in 2024, it was 24% of residents. And we've seen over the years, we've done this survey back to 2017, that there is definitely with Delray and ebbs and flows where there is a lot of demand for tourism, and then sometimes there's less demand for tourism from the residents. And as I mentioned, we do tracking of all of our performance and marketing and sales initiatives in here. And this is just an infographic we put together of our ROI in there. So essentially every single dollar that we spend in promotion in marketing and in our sales initiatives, we return just over $3 in bed taxes. So that's the $31 million in bed taxes that we're able to attribute to all of our single efforts. And then that multiplies to $109 in economic impact for each one of those dollars. If we didn't exist as an organization, we would estimate that based on this, that visitation would drop countywide by 20%, and the hotel room demand would decrease by 42% in there, and we'd have a 36% decline in bed taxes. So just to get a flavor for how important we are in driving this community, and if we didn't exist, it would certainly be felt within the community, and the greater economy would shrink 5% locally. And then lastly, with the tourism master plan, I know the Delray has done their own master plan for the city in there. We're doing one right now for the county, and I have a couple of updates in here. So one of the processes in this is we've taken the master plan from Delray Beach and some of the other cities that have done it, and a lot of other plans within cities, and done an analysis of all those things to get us all on the sort of the same page to see where everyone's at, so we can have good collaboration on some of the recommendations that come out of that. We've developed a website. It's pbctourismplan.com, and this is just sort of what it looks like when you land on there. And just some of the information available on that is the steering committee. We had a steering committee meeting just before this meeting here this morning, and these are all the members on there that are driving the plan forward. And then you can get some of the reports, the one I just mentioned about having an analysis of all the different documents within all the cities and their plans and vision for the future. An analysis that is available on the site as well. And some of the key things that we've done so far is back in July we did a familiarization tour. So we took the consultants around to 80 different attractions and venues within the county, so they get a flavor for Delray, for Jupiter, for the Glades, everywhere in the county. And we just had some stakeholder interviews. We had 500 individuals on the list that they were here for a week. We were in different parts of the county having individuals come. I know Laura was invited to that, and she wasn't able to attend, but we were able to follow up with a Zoom call. So there's definitely opportunity to still have your voice heard in this process. During our town hall, our State of the Industry event that we're going to host on November 7th, we're going to have a town hall as part of that, where we're going to ask a lot of questions about this process, and particularly about the branding and marketing aspect for the destination. And around those timeframes, there'll be in-person makeup times as well, if you'd prefer to meet in person rather than on Zoom. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to our president and CEO. Yes.
Before you go, you had the tourism dollars from 2019, 22, 23, and everything was up. This has been a really poor off-season for Delray Beach and Atlantic Avenue. I'm assuming it's all of the Palm Beaches. Do you have 2024 figures? Not complete, I realize that.
Yeah.
Do you have?
Yeah. So that data comes from the Florida Department of Revenue. They'll provide that to me sometime in 25. So it's going to be a bit of a lag on that.
Well, the problem, that's why I was going to ask you, if you're putting all this money in to build business when it's slow, if you don't get the figures in the current time period, what good is it?
Yes, so that's why we developed the destination demand tool. So that's giving right now it's a countywide snapshot of what we're expecting in the future, and all the hotels have access to this. We've had a bunch of webinars with revenue managers at hotels to tell them the trends so they can adjust their business accordingly.
Did it project and predict what happened this year? And
Yes.
did you respond to it by increasing marketing efforts or dollars invested?
Yes, so this summer we did see particularly the luxury properties were doing particularly well. It was the limited service properties that were struggling, while the Airbnbs, alternative lodging, were performing really well. So it's been a mixed bag of performance throughout the county, if you will, in different sectors. We saw that the limited service properties needed some extra help, so we had some partnerships with Expedia. We had special landing pages where we had hotel partners join in on that if they wanted to buy in to get more exposure on those OTA platforms at a discounted rate through us, knowing that the summer was going to be a little challenging, and we think that made a little bit of difference in there. Another one of the biggest challenges has been Fort Lauderdale and Miami have been heavily discounting, and we've been really holding on to our rates here, trying to keep our rate integrity and that's where demand has sort of leveled off, if you will, from a macro perspective in the county. But it's, with Miami and Fort Lauderdale discounting, that's been the challenge that we've been trying to drive that demand at those rates and not going to play that game where we're going to steal business from our neighbors just to fill our hotel rooms.
Well, they stole it from us. Was their discounting successful?
The discounting was not as successful, so that's really the challenge. Once you start, you discount 5-10% to drive more room demand, they're not seeing that return. They're not generating more room sales necessarily based on that discounting, so they're losing on both ends, where we're holding on to rates and being able to
So we're holding on
maintain
to rates,
revenue.
but with less volume, and they're getting more volume and less rates.
They're slow altogether.
They're not getting necessarily the volume that they're not increasing their room nights sold. It's the discounting doesn't generate more demand. It just takes demand from other parts of the region, if you will.
Gotcha.
So holding onto the rates is a better strategy. So when things improve, you don't have to start from a lower base to adjust your rates.
That's a really important metric.
Well, it's crappy down there. That's why they're not going down there.
Yeah, the hotels look at there's a metric called RevPAR, which is a combination of occupancy and rate. That's what's the important metric on their end. So if rates can increase at the cost of occupancy, then RevPAR will be up, or vice versa.
Is their Airbnbs higher than their rooms, than the hotel rooms?
The rates are that's where the idea of the limited servicing being more challenged by the Airbnb, because if you go by a per room, you adjust the rate for the property by how many rooms there are there, it becomes less than a hotel room. So if you were someone that was going to consume 2 or 3 rooms for your family, the Airbnb would make more sense. Or if you're here for an extended period of time for 5 nights or something like that, and that's a double whammy, if you will, to the hotel, because that customer would have bought 2 rooms. Now you don't have that customer at all.
Can I circle back to something you said in the beginning? You said if you see that basically the local economy is struggling, that you put things in place to somewhat give a surge to that. I think that's where Al was headed. If you're only getting the information after the fact by a year, how could you actually help to prevent what is happening currently? So it's almost like we're chasing instead of being proactive and saying, okay, we've heard from the merchants that there's an issue. how can we then start to invest some of those resources to get the return on investment in the year currently that we're in that sees the problem, instead of waiting till next year to say, oh, hey, rear view, there was a problem, and we are doing this for 2025, 2026, when now they're playing catch up, trying to recoup those dollars.
Yeah, so some of the data we have is lagged. So the spending data, that's economic impact data, we have that after the fact, but we have a tool in place that we developed over the last 18 months that does forward-looking information. So we've branded it as destination demand, and a couple of the inputs in there relies on search behavior, so how we have access to how consumers are searching for hotel rooms within the county. And when we see that behavior is looking soft or good, then we know how to anticipate what demand's going to be in the future.
But I think that's what he was asking. What was the information saying 6 months ago leading into this down season? So did it say that we were anticipating a low selling point for this portion of the season so that we could take care of it? Because when we go into the high season, we know it's fair game that everybody's going to have an excess, hopefully, that takes care of itself. So now we're in this slump, and now we're going to play catch up going into our high season.
Yes, so we saw in the summertime was going to be before the summer. So in the spring, we knew summer was going to be challenging. So we did make those investments, working with OTAs and partnerships in there, and with our hotel community to drive demand. But there's a lot of other factors, like the competition in Miami and Fort Lauderdale discounting. But yes, we did anticipate that, and we made efforts to address that.
Thank you. Here comes.
Thank you very much. Great conversation, by the way. I am Milton Segarra, President and CEO of Discover the Palm Beaches. Thank you so much for the opportunity. A quick comment. I've been here 2 years. I live in Jupiter. My first official tour of any of the destinations in Palm Beach was here. Thanks to Laura and Suzanne, they took me through, and it was quite impressive to me come to a community like this one and see the vitality and the specific soul of Delray Beach into a bigger scope of the Palm Beaches. And that's why we have a phenomenal product to portray and to bring people to different experiences and part of the county. But talking about our Delray Beach, let me take you through what is guiding our efforts, not only in the strategic portion, but as well in investing our budget, which is transforming the visitor's experience by targeting two key, very important components: the marketing technology that we are investing heavily, and also the brand evolution, and how with our brand and brand messaging we can target the specific audiences that we want. At the end of the day, we're talking about, and Gustav and Sergio went through this, $10.3 billion industry, which represents 11% of the total economic input in the county. 11%, so that's very significant. Close to 90,000 people works in our industry. The overall direct expenditure is almost $7.1 billion in direct expenses, with a return of over $262 million in taxes and fees to the governments of the county. So at the end, this is why all of this works. And here is where all of us, we have a part into this. This is a model, very simple approach, but it has like 20 years of research on how the destination promotion works into not only attracting visitors, but as well as developing the quality of place and quality of life of any particular destination. And start with a visit. And when you come and you visit, most likely you will like to, if you like the visit, you will come back again. And certainly you would like to work in that place and live in that place, which will bring, if you live here, you want to work here. If you want to work here, you're going to invest here. And that particular circle is what we're seeing. And part of the development that we're experiencing across the county is the interaction between this particular model, fueled by visitors, into other people, investors, companies, organizations that are looking us for investment. But we can say pretty much with certainty that most of it started with a visit, and that's something that we have done very well. This is pretty much, as Sergio mentioned at the beginning, we work hand in hand with pretty much across the county with all the business organizations and governments. This is something we cannot do alone, so that's why we reach out to organizations, in this case, with Laura, Susanna, and the rest of the team of the DDA, which I have to say, you guys are doing a phenomenal job, and it's helping us to attract more people to the county, not only to your city. And these are the 5 pillars. We made a decision this year because of the normalization of demand. What we saw in the last 2 or 3 years, growing 5, 7, 10%, sometimes double-digit growth. In 2024, we saw a leveling off the demand. This is across our industry, but it also has some impact in other industries. So what we're seeing right now of those maybe double-digit growth, we're going to see more limited, maybe 3, 4, 5, 6%. And we need to adjust all the things that we're doing to that. And with that in mind, we decided that the first pillar of the organization is to make sure that we keep our efforts to keep bringing revenue to the cities and to the county. In every sales, marketing, and partnership that we put into place, revenue optimization is key. As we develop the destination and the organization in a collaborative mode with the TDC agencies, with the counties, with the cities, with the residents, making sure that people understand what is tourism across the state, across the county, across the cities, and how we can work together to make sure that people understand that we're talking about a social inclusion and sustainability destination. So those 5 pillars are our guiding principles. And we have partners across the tourism spectrum, from transportation to other organizations in terms of marketing, all the agencies here, different organizations and sports and different type of events, distribution of our product with Expedia, TripAdvisor, and some others, as well as access through the airlines. The campaign we just launched, the Palm Beach Collection. This one is really important. I would like to take 1 minute to explain. The idea is to make sure that every single experience that we have in the county can be portrayed in a different way. Because we're a collection of experiences, and from the county perspective, of course, but we can adjust this particular campaign to the needs and the experiences that Del Rey can portray as part of the collection of activities that we have in our county and our destination. Events, it's another very important component. We have events for golf, we have events for fashion, but this one is regarding wellness and well-being, which is another key important component of the overall elevated experience that people are expecting when they come and visit us. So this will happen in November 1st to the 3rd in West Palm Beach. We are paying for a program that is available throughout the county to make sure that we have ambassadors, certified tourism ambassadors, all the employees that are engaging with our visitors are going to go through this particular training. And at the end, like Sergio said, we're going to have a full meeting on November 7th at the Krabi Center. Please come, and we'll be showing with more detail and more specific details about what we're going to be doing in 2025. So thank you so much for giving us the opportunity. And if you have any questions for me or Gustav or Sergio, yes.
Well, Chairman?
Chairman,
Go ahead.
All right, thanks. I just look for you to delegate. Again, familiar with your organization. You guys do a lot. I've known some other board members in the past that have been involved, and we're board members of the Arts Garage as well, which I served on. And really, I'm not good at sugarcoating stuff. I know you guys have a good amount of equity that you deploy. And again, you talked about, the portraying the experiences and events. The DDA, we're very focused on our downtown specific area, but as part of that, we also have a ILA agreement with the city for Old School Square. And I'm not sure if you're aware, but we did have a significant budget cut in that ILA. So I'm not sure if there are ways to help facilitate us to continue the programming, that we're doing, whether it's helping facilitate free programming or even renting out the venue for events, which will help drive hotels. You know, it's available for rent. I'm not sure if you know, whether it's the field house or even the whole campus. So I think there's a lot of neat opportunities we could explore and would want to really dive into, because we are looking into this next year, and you know, we're looking for $1.5 million, and we got 800,000, and we've been operating on about $1.1 million. So it's a strong difference. And again, I'm not sure how the funds are deployed or in what ways you do it, if it's just on the marketing or how we can do things, or even specific programs. You know, we'd love to explore that a little more, and you know, I think it would do a lot in seeing what you showed us in the, you know, foreshadow tool you have, you know, helping drive up some of those, you know.
I was not aware of those budget changes. Our contract with the county is very clear about the uses of the funds that we could use to promote. But please, maybe we could have a separate meeting and see what can we do.
Just something I'd love to explore. And again, there's a need, and again, it seems to fit a lot of what you're trying to do, and understanding, you know, the significance that Delray plays, you know, in the role of Palm Beach County. So appreciate it.
I have one little tiny thing. With that in mind, is there discretionary funds?
No, we don't have discretionary funds for that.
We just have to see how their funds can be deployed and see if there's any programs or, again, partnerships or ways to use those to fill some gaps.
That's interesting point.
Yeah, that's another way to look at this. But from the basic definition about the uses for the funds, but if any other activity can be tied to, at some point, generating room tax, then there is a possibility to look
which
for
a show
partnerships.
does, and conferences do, and a lot of things. We'll talk about it later, but it's something I really would love to have the opportunity, since you've come in and shared with us a lot of what you're doing, just to kind of revisit that specifically.
Of course.
Aaron.
How are you? 2018 and 2019 for Delray was really successful, right? I mean, I know. So then we had COVID, knocked us out for a year and a half, almost 2 years. And then everything opened back up, and for the most part, 23, 24. So we were doing things right in 2018 and 2019, right? We were busy, everybody was making money. And now we're back down to our 2018, 2019 numbers. So what are you proposing we're supposed to do to change that, to make it, if we were doing good then we had a casualty, now we're back.
Yeah.
Are you trying to say that we should start building and turn into like Fort Lauderdale and stuff like that? So what's the plan? I don't understand what we're talking about.
No, well,
how do you improve on them?
Yeah. Well, what we're trying to do is to generate demand for the hotels and visitors coming to the different places. Gustav mentioned the destination demand, and we follow 19 different sub-segments within the county. 18. One is the county itself, and then we have other 18. One of them is Delray. One of this, because
it was the best place to be.
Yeah, but we have phenomenal cities and regions, you know, and but we follow each and every one of them. The recommendation is not to follow what Fort Lauderdale or Miami did in terms of discounting. It will not work. We have seen across the county, we've been able to maintain revenue and rate levels, most of them. And what we're doing is identifying the needs of all the specific 18 subsegments and create a specific marketing, messaging, and actions to try to generate demand for those particular places. And that's what we're doing with the overall plan in this particular case for Delray.
Mr. Chairman? Oh,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I have a question. I am a retiree from the Washington, D.C. area, Northern Virginia specifically. And I taught marketing, but I was always struck by every time there was some kind of snowstorm or blizzard, it just seemed like Fort Lauderdale was on it. We would get the commercial that said, come to Fort Lauderdale, beautiful, like sand beaches. Meanwhile, we're like boarding up the house so the snow doesn't come in. How is it that Fort Lauderdale seems to find this area, which is one of the richest areas in the United States, but the Palm Beaches was never impactfully advertising to an area where the median around Washington, D.C., I can tell you with all those government workers, they are paid very, very well. Yeah. So this is a pocket that just seems like it's not being utilized to advertise to. But Fort Lauderdale seemed to have found it. But the rest of this area We didn't get anything from Miami. We didn't get anything from, anything north, no Palm Beaches. It was just Fort Lauderdale.
I don't know when was that. We were not here at the time. We didn't have too much TV on our media plan. Now we do. In our case, we have very specific source of business markets. New York is one of them. DC is one of our, I would say, top 5, Gustav, maybe? Top 5, top 7 markets. And we do have a presence. For example, last winter, we did a very specific campaign for DC, including TV. So we are more particular into the timing of the investment, but now we're being more active in TV, recognizing that the number one source of not only flights but as well visitors is the New York tri-state area. So you see a lot of concentration of the efforts to keep that, but as well Washington D.C., you have Atlanta, you have Philadelphia, you have some other markets like Dallas, Houston, that we're making some investment to attract visitors from there as well.
I'm glad to hear that because it was not there while I was living there.
No, it was
I'm here
not.
already, so I guess it kind of worked.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
That's good.
Jim?
First of all, thank you very much for coming. It was an informative
pleasure.
presentation. Would love to get a copy of the presentation sent to everybody at the board so we could have it for the facts and figures and so forth. The county, the Business Development Board has been pushing Wall Street South, things like that, so forth. Are you involved in those programs at all and trying to get some of the financial companies? If we get some more of those financial companies that are landing in Palm Beach to land here in Delray Beach, it would be phenomenal because they bring a lot of wealth and high-end employees and high-paid employees, etc.
That's a phenomenal point, and I know you have a long agenda, but I'll try to be brief. But that's key for 2 reasons. Number one is because the BDB and other business-related organizations, they've been very successful attracting new investment to the county. That's great. What we're trying to do, and when we have this type of communications, is that one key supreme element in marketing is the consistency of the message. And our I don't want to say concern, but our advice to those groups is that we have to find common elements that we tie the messages, because you cannot be in different markets promoting a Wall Street of the South, and then you have us promoting the Palm Beach collection, and then you have some others saying different messages. So it's I think through the master plan, and that's why it's important to have all of you participating, or at least submit your concerns or recommendations. And one of them is how we create a common ground that providing the opportunity to each organization to advance your messages, but have at least part of the connection of the overall message, which is, America's first resort destination and the finest Florida vacation experience in the South. So the control of that message, the Wall Street of the South, is the BDB, but we're part of the conversation with them to see how we can work together.
But as I understand it, your goal is to increase the bed tax. That's what funds you, and that's
Correct.
where you go. So you, on your circle of 1, 2, 3, and 4, with the visit ending up in business development, your concentration is mostly on number 1. The
Yes.
visit, getting them here, and then my restaurant gets fed from trickle down from that, and the businesses grow.
Correct.
That's really your model.
Correct, sir. That's
Okay.
right. But at the end, all of those investments and development will, in a way or another, impact the tourism industry through your restaurant or a hotel or Airbnb or an attraction or venue, which is at the end the benefit for us into promoting the destination.
Sure.
Mr. Chairman?
Thank you.
Point of clarification. In your statement, you stated that you were trying to make sure somewhat, and I'm going to use my own terminology, that there's seamless integration in the messaging between the Palm Beaches and somewhat what's going on in Broward and that area. So are you linking our am I wrong in the assumption that we're trying to put the train on the tracks together so that the messaging is smooth across all of
Not
South
with
Florida?
Broward and others.
You're not
just
going that far.
within the county.
Okay,
Within
that's the
county,
reason why I
yeah.
brought that up. He's talked about the financial sector that is moving into Miami, and I'm sitting here going, how are we going to
Actually,
connect-
West Palm.
Yes,
The-
and
the-
there's some in
not-
West Palm
yes,
too.
West
Yes.
Palm,
Significant
Yes.
into West Palm.
So how
yes.
do we integrate those entities so that when someone moves down here, not only are they going to Miami, which puts up billboards in other cities saying, hey, we got a tech sector going on, but how do they know also about West Palm Beach that is growing, and possibly Delray too? I mean, it's not like we don't have
Correct.
office space.
Correct.
So how do we integrate that messaging so that they know it's a larger swath of opportunity and not just Miami?
From our tourism perspective, if you go to our website, you will find a plethora of experiences throughout the county. From the BDB or any of the other chambers, I really don't know exactly how they're trying to create that opportunity across the county. There are some strategies in place.
Yeah.
But in our case, it's
Yeah,
pretty
I know.
much bring the visitors to, once they come here, make sure they visit as much as possible the cities and the venues throughout the county.
Okay. Anyone else have anything?
We're really grateful for the
We're
time.
really grateful
and
as well.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Just for a point of clarification, so our organization has participated in the Business Development
gonna
Board,
bring
which
you
is the BDB, along with Discover the Palm Beaches,
The city
and our
workshop
city commissioner.
And in the parking. Sorry.
That's okay.
I apologize. My microphone was on.
That's okay.
I
Anyway, so our organization is definitely involved in all organizations. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming. As the BDB, the
Thank you, guys.
Discover the Palm Beaches, as well as the Economic Development Director also for the city does participate in the Business Development Board meetings.
Yeah.
So we can look at bringing more information back to you all.
But it's important to know that those guys are not building all of Florida, but there are partners
our
here
county.
in Palm Beach, and they are geared to the development of hotel bed tax dollars, which in turn trickles down to all of us. But it brings all the other stuff in place, but that's what their focus is. And when you start talking about the other stuff, he's going to tell you about the other people that do it, but not his group.
Well, my concern was that they're probably down there spending a lot of money promoting, because like I said, it was hitting us up there in that region. So how could we either, one, tie in some way to be a caboose on their train, because it seems to be working and moving, or is it separate all the way together? And that's what I was trying to clarify.
I think we're doing really well, too. I question whether you just don't watch TV all the time when the Palm Beach is around.
Targeted advertising.
Just real quick, I just want to, if we can get that follow-up, maybe get the specific language from how they deploy the funds. He said it was a very specific, like, charter based on their non-for-profit. If we can maybe share that language with the board, just so we could all look at it and explore
I can follow up
ideas
with
on
them.
how to secure some of that, possibly to help fill hotel rooms and
It's a
keep the
conversation.
old
It's a
school spirit.
conversation to have.
No, absolutely.
Thank you.
Anyway, Aaron
Hold on.
has
They
to
got-
leave at
I
1:30.
gotta leave it
Okay. Oh, you do? Okay.
Can I just recommend we just keep the DDA and y'all keep taking care of Delray and just leave them alone?
Well, we
Because
are.
they want the bed tax and they're gonna raise everything up.
Yeah, they also sponsor some of our events. They help us pay for things like Restaurant Month.
I'm gonna keep y'all.
Is there
So
something
with-
that we need to address while Aaron's still here?
Well, I think if you would
Parking.
want to move the in-lieu parking up, if that's something, do you have?
Aaron?
We're just gonna talk about the Delray Citizens and the Boynton Beach
Of the police?
softball game on November 2nd. Just want to put that out there. It's
Okay.
going to be Delray Beach Police Department, Boynton Beach Police Department. They're going to have their turn, the softball game, some relays and stuff like that. Be hamburgers and hot dogs and Subways.
November 2nd.
November
Is that at
2nd.
Miller Field? Or?
Yes, Miller Field,
Okay.
Field
Yeah,
3.
The Boynton Police are going to battle the Delray Police Department in baseball at the Miller Field from 10 to 12. And then there's going to be a free lunch afterwards with burgers. And I got a
Okay.
great description of the food last night. It sounded really good.
Okay, I will. Aaron did send me a flyer, so I can send that to everybody.
Yeah.
Did you have any? Are we making any? Did you want to make an adjustment to the agenda? I don't. Or
No, I just
okay.
wanted to know if you thought I had to and if it was necessary.
No, we have quorum. So if there's anything
Okay.
else, if you have comments on anything that we're going to.
Anything that's important to you before
Otherwise, we'll continue with the
Okay.
agenda.
Before he leaves, if there's any actual, I'm sorry, before he leaves, if there's any actionable items that will cause an impact to the budget, I think he should be here. So if we could look at any of those items.
No, we have core. We have. We
Is
have
that
enough.
still, 1, 2, 3, there's,
four
no, it's
now.
5, that's 6. Okay, that's okay.
Yeah.
I just need to
Okay.
make
You
sure
only
there's an
need
odd
4.
number. Okay.
You only
Okay.
need 4.
Thank you. Thank you, Aaron.
All right, Ed.
You bet.
All right, so then we'll just continue on with the agenda then, with new
Okay.
business.
The website company?
Yeah, so 2A, so Suzanne can leave the presentation for this. So this is just a part of our process. We have, as you all know, we're working on developing a new website. That was part of our initiatives to come in, and we wanted to create a new downtowndelrabeach.com website. We've gone through the process, and Suzanne wants to she can just share you have all the backup and the information.
Yeah, there is no presentation, but we did, as you all know, we have been working on creating and redesigning and redeveloping our website. It is dated and needs to be redone. We brought together a committee and selected and put out an RFP. There were 6 agencies that responded to our RFP. We narrowed that down to 4. 4 of them came and gave presentations either in person or on Zoom. And from the 4, we chose we selected Geocentric, which is a company that produces a very proprietary software for downtown agencies and has like 75 agencies that it does this for. So we're very excited because they really understand what we need. We as a downtown agency are talking to many different audiences. We're talking to our visitors, we're talking to our locals, and we're talking to our businesses. And through our website, it has to be very comprehensive to talk to all of those people. So we're very excited that Geocentric, we're in the agreement process right now to get the agreement signed. But if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer. Vera was on the committee, so I'm sure she can also answer any questions. But it looks like it's going to be about a 5-month timeline, which is what it takes to build a comprehensive website. So we should be launching right before Savor the Avenue in March.
Can I speak
No,
on
it's
what
Jim, right?
happened?
Jim?
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jim.
Ladies first. My mom would tell me.
Oh, well, I
Exactly
appreciate
that,
that. Thank you. I'm glad there's still that in our. There you go. Anyway, I want to say the process was very professional. I appreciated being a part of it, and I can speak to the fact that some of the things that we were really looking for were efficiency, supporting the actual employees that will use the system, because that was the sticking point, is that it's causing so many man hours or manpower hours, or person hours, I should say, to facilitate small things that they need to do in order for them to be efficient and to get back out into the downtown with the merchants to make sure that everything else is running. So this system is going to actually allow them to do their jobs with efficiency and take away from the overextended use of time for some of the basic skills that are necessary for them to function. So
Yeah, the things that it can do are
yes,
amazing.
amazing. Yes, it was amazing. It really was. It was great.
Jim?
Yeah, I was just curious. Did anybody put a total figure amount? I mean, we have a budget, $25,000 to $40,000. It's $8,000 a year, if I read correctly, right, to stay with this program, which it seems like a really great program and so forth. But just what is the anticipated total budget, and what did the other ones look like? I do like this
I think it says
concept.
27,000, and I think it's actually 9,200 a year because we want the little add-on as well. if that's
Yeah,
what
we
the numbers.
haven't talked about the add-on yet. However, the add-on would be amazing because right now what we do is we create our weekend roundup emails from scratch. This would take all of the events that are on our website and we would just put a little click by them, and then it would create an email that would create our weekend roundup. So it's things like that yes, it would cost a little extra, but the amount of time it's saving us would be exponential. So the total budget for the website is
40 or
27.
It's a
20
27 for the new website design is 27.
$27,000 for the new website design, then $8,000 a year, which I think is cheaper than what we're paying right now. to do updates and stuff throughout the year for our current agency. So
I just want to say the numbers are great. They had a $45,000 possible budget to use, and they put this out to offer. This RFP looked great, and I'm familiar because I went on the Idea Exchange one time, had the opportunity to meet these folks in their booth. The stuff is strong and looks great. So, again, it looks like this process, I wasn't part of it, Vera was, but, from what I'm seeing just on the backup, it looks great.
Yeah, and every downtown organization that uses them, that I talked to them, they had nothing but glowing remarks to say about them. So we're really excited to work with them.
There were websites that ranged all the way up to $100,000, but we, of course, being good stewards of the resources, made sure that it was what was necessary, but also within the budget to ensure that the citizens are getting their money's worth and for the impact. That's the important piece of this.
Would you like to make the motion?
I would.
One
I would
question,
like to
or
let-
just a comment. Does this tie into the Placer AI data that we get? Is there like
It
some
can.
sort of
Yes, that can be, it doesn't merge, but we can utilize that. There is some AI components that we were looking for part of the website.
Does this take over some of the responsibility that Placer AI has, or there's no overlap?
No,
between
no,
this?
no, it's completely separate.
No, this would take over. This would be more like business data and geographical. Their geographical and business listing data that they create through their software is unbelievable. For instance, what we can do, what it does now is it will be able to tell us when let's say, Cabana El Rey, right? Cabana El Rey left, and now a new restaurant is coming in its place. It will be able to automatically tell us that through our website, that there is now a new tenant there, and do you want to approve this new tenant being listed on your website? Instead of us saying, oh, okay, by the way, we know that a new tenant is coming in, and we have to do that all manually. It will actually do that for us, which is really incredible.
I'd love to.
What I also loved was that once, and I don't want to talk about the demise of a business, but that it was able to clean up the website as
Right.
well. If someone was to shift or even change addresses on the app or something, it was able to onboard easily and also offboard easily.
Yeah, that's all stuff we have to do manually
But
now.
I have a tracer question with what Cole asked, because when I should have asked them this, or actually it's a question for us. This Placer AI, they use it as well and fed us information about us, but we're paying for that as well as a service. So I'm wondering if we're not doing overlap, but we'll come back to that later. Because I think that if the Palm Beaches is using it and we're using it and they can just feed us the information, are we paying for something that's
No, we use it much more extensively than what they would offer to us. They're just looking at the big picture. We can get really granular with our Placer.
Okay.
And we're
Just
talking
scratching the
about
surface.
using it in ways that we wouldn't be able to get from them. Yeah, it's important we have our own.
And what I mentioned to Quentin is that my concern is, because this is entirely proprietary, should their system go down, if we don't have a backup of some sort, if they haven't protected us, we could end up with no service for quite some time. We'd have to find another company.
That would be any website,
Well, the
any
point is
website company. But yeah,
If the bottom line is that I'd like to see if it's possible that they guarantee us in some fashion a backup that's available to us should they have a catastrophic event. Not intended, not intentional, but still catastrophic.
Yeah,
How
that-
do we protect our website because we don't have their software?
Can I say this? I think, and I don't know, I'd have to go back to my notes. There were a couple of the website companies that if that were to happen, because that was a question during the conversation, that they were able to trace back to the last time before the incident happened, and that would be the site that you get until they were able to fix the information.
yeah,
That's how it works. Yeah.
We just have to
they
make sure-
host. They're the host. They're
Yes.
hosting us, and same with Geocentric. They're hosting our
just
website.
need the
So-
guarantees in the contract, that's all.
yeah.
Quentin's on it.
Okay, anybody else? Nope, okay. Then
We just need
we have an action
we
item?
need a formal action.
Yes, I motion to approve. Or should I be not the one to do that since I was on the thing? But
I think it's quite appropriate because you were on the committee.
Thank you.
Second?
Okay,
Thank you. Roll call?
can we do an all in favor? Or do we need to do it item by person by person? Yes, sir.
Cole David,
Yes.
Alan Costello,
Yes.
Brian Rosen,
Yes.
Vera Woodson,
Yes.
Jim Knight,
Yes.
and for the records, Harold Nardman and Aaron Halliburton are not present.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Are they here? Yep.
Yes.
Can I ask that Daphne presents Sister City real quick?
Unfortunately,
We're like tight
we're,
on time.
yeah.
1 minute.
That's public comment? Then we can't have it?
It's a part of the report, actually.
So
have to
based
tell
on
me.
time, and I think
Well, I
right
think
now,
that-
I think
I-
if there's
I
time at
don't
the end of
know.
the, if we have time at the end of the meeting, I think
Then
that would be
let's-
better.
I agree with you. Let's go right to 2B.
Okay. Sorry. So 2B is the placemaking and activation grant
Yep.
for the annual bed races, which is coming up this weekend. And Max Satiri has a small few things to say, and then you all have the backup in here. From our perspective, this grant meets all the recommendations and requirements, and we've also provided the grant before. So.
Before we get going, though, there were no changes. It's a $2,000 request, and we are, this has become an annual event.
Correct.
Basically,
This
for
is
the
its
last
third year?
Third year, yeah, for the 3 years. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone understood that, so we don't have to get deep in the weeds.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there a motion?
Can we go to a
That?
motion?
Yes, motion to approve.
Second.
Okay.
I'm gonna.
You have something?
Wait a
Yeah,
minute.
I don't know if there's over 100 properties that benefit from it, and I own a number of properties on the street where it's happening, so I'm going to recuse myself and I'll
Okay.
sign the paper.
There's still 4 of us.
Oh,
There's got to be 100 properties.
Like that.
but
do you
what
think
is
this benefits?
what is your? Are you financially benefiting from this?
I'm a supporter of the event. I don't financially benefit, but I support the non-for-profit. And
Are you a donor or are you accepting donations?
I'm a donor.
Okay, we heard that. You should be good on that.
All right. Well, there you go.
Right. Right. So we had a motion
Yes.
from
Can we have? We've had a motion and a second. Can we have a vote?
Jim Knight,
Yes.
Vera Woodson,
Yes.
Brian Rosen,
Yes.
Alan Costello,
Yes.
Cole David,
Yes.
and
Oh,
for
good.
the record, Oliver Narnham and Aaron Halliburton are not present.
Max.
Thank you. Am I allowed to offer VIP viewing area for DDA staff and board members? It's behind the
Free
fence away
event,
from the
correct?
public.
It's a free event.
It's a free event, but the VIP is for
I
team.
would ask before doing. So I would say it's probably not advisable to do that based on the discussion we had today without asking and seeking counsel from the Palm Beach County Commission on Ethics. If there's time, which there may be, we can see that. So you can put that in pencil.
Quick email. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Max.
This is for Howard Allen, 2C.
Yes. Okay, so I provided everyone with a little overview for some clarification. Howard Allen Events, if everyone's familiar with the organization. And in the backup memo, I shared with you that in the past, part of our agreement with the Howard Allen Events as part of their economic impact and bringing events to the downtown, partnered with the DDA and for over 30 plus years to bring these events to the downtown specifically, and also created a funding sponsorship of the DDA. So there was funding being given as part of the events themselves to the DDA. We made some adjustments last year, or almost a year and a half ago, as in a partnership, as a way for us to invest more public art into our community by working with Howard, and he expressed a great interest in that with using some of his artists that have been part of that program in the past for other cities and municipalities, and this one is one of them, the Tube Dude. As a also caveat to this is we back in 2021, Maruska on our team worked with us to try to find a way to put a Love Del Rey sculpture, art sculpture coming out of COVID, and that did not move to fruition. So this would also benefit and kind of be part of that Love Delray campaign that we have here. On the screen, we have some examples of the heart that that the artist is working on. It's a 6 foot by 6 foot, 6 foot by 8 feet, and 6 inches on the outside, or width. It'll be painted. We're looking at different colors that go with our brand. These are some examples. And then on the heart itself, it will have the hashtag Love Delray. And we are looking to have this added to our recommendation for location, as you see in the summary, is the Old School Square campus right on 2nd Avenue, which is part of the Pineapple Grove Arts District. And where we are looking to set it is in a green space that once the Christmas tree is up and other things that happen on the campus, it would set a nice backdrop. When you look at the heart, you would see the 100-foot Christmas tree behind there and other things that are happening there. So it's a very high traffic area and would be really a great place for photo ops, sharing our message and sharing Instagrammable moments throughout social media. So this is part of the process with this is, the Howard will be donating this estimated at $30,000 value sculpture to Delray Beach and to the DDA. Our organization, as we are overseeing the other public art within the Pineapple Grove, would fall into that oversight and management, and really just maintaining it. If there's any issues, working with the artist, if there's vandalism or something gets damaged, to have it repaired. However, and just really from a maintenance standpoint, it should be minimal. And it would also fall under our insurance umbrella as well. The process is for us to look at it, for you all to give any recommendations, provide any feedback that we could take back. And then we would need to move it through the process of the city. It does have to go through the Public Art Advisory Board for a recommendation, as well as it have to be approved by the City Commission.
This is absolutely the item that we're going to get?
This is a heart, yes.
So that's it?
Yes.
Okay. And it's going to say Delray Beach on it?
Mm-hmm. It will say hashtag Love Delray Beach.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But within the heart somehow?
On the outside, or yeah. Mm-hmm.
We don't know. Okay. Because I saw
throughout it.
I saw the Love the Palm Beaches piece that was in the...
Mm-hmm. That was our original one.
Yeah, I like that one. I just want our name, Delray Beach, to somehow be more prominent. But that's me. And it fits within our insurance, and it fits within all the costs that we're currently involved with managing the other art projects. Mm-hmm. Okay. Is there any money for insurance or any money to maintenance with the artist once it's done?
Only if there's the agreement has to be put forth, but what the hours of, if there's an issue, if it needs to be repainted, those things need to be worked out.
Okay, but they haven't been worked out yet?
No.
Okay.
This is like a full donation, so it's ours at the end of the day, or no?
Correct.
Okay.
I had a question too, Mr. Chairman. I'm
Susan
sorry, were you
Go
finished?
ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
Everyone's so nice to you.
So
I don't know why.
I lost my train of thought. Go ahead, Vera.
Okay, I love this. I am going to say this, but I said it to you all in the office, so it's not like I'm saying this is brand new. I don't want it to say Love Delray on it. I want it to say Delray Beach. And the reason why, Love Delray is a campaign, and campaigns we know get old. And after a while, we don't hashtag, we don't this, whatever the next thing is, that's still going to be on there. So I prefer that it just said Delray Beach instead of anything to do with a campaign, so that we can make sure that it has longevity and it's not something that looks old after a while when we stop the campaign.
That was something I was going to piggyback on, was get rid of the I don't like the hashtag on the piece of art. If you want to do a plaque at the bottom, maybe that makes more sense. You can remove a plaque, but on the piece of art, I think Delray Beach makes more sense.
Okay.
Just the words Delray Beach?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think you'd mentioned, is the DDA responsible for all the art on Pineapple Grove now when we assume the thing? And then what's our budget to maintain that currently? Because some of it's a little tired.
We have money monies from we have right now $15,000.
15 or 50?
15.
15. And then, yeah, I just asked for a budget. You need to have some sort of maintenance budget. I know I've sat in enough arts, advisory board meetings. They always say, what's the budget? You have to have a plan of maintenance, just make sure we have all that. And then the other thing, again, I'm in support of it. I love art in Del Rey. I love sculptures. It's just, I'd almost like to see all the art in the DDA area. I don't know who's maintaining it now, but I'd like to kind of get an inventory of it and see if it's something we can take care of or address, because there are some tired pieces around, and I don't want to just get another piece that's going to get there and get tired. I'd like to take care of the stuff that we have, in our district.
Don't you have it inventoried already?
We do. We can share that with the board.
When we absorbed it from Pineapple Grove, we got the inventory with it and the status on each piece, and there was funding. Is that the 15 grand?
Correct.
Yeah, that's the 15 grand that came from that. Excuse me, but Cole,
Go ahead, and I'll go after.
You're never going to get this out. Get it
No,
out.
so my question, I guess, Quentin, for you for liability, say a car jumps the curb and totally takes this thing out. The artist isn't going to look at us by any means and say, that thing was worth $30,000.
It's not his, it's ours.
Right. We have a draft agreement right now that addresses that. There will be a bill of sale that transfers ownership, intellectual property from that individual to the DDA. As far as the liability for ongoing matters like a car jumping the curb, it'll be within the insurance area for other DDA assets.
Do we?
Yeah, I would agree with Brian, and maybe, I don't know if, Brian, you have the time or not, but maybe get with Laura and tour the property or the art that's out there and see what it takes to bring it up to, snuff to where it would be, when you drive by and see a nice new fancy car and then you see a couple old tired cars, just kind of nice to get everything brought up to speed, especially for the holiday season coming and everything else, if the budget warrants it, if it's there.
Okay. Actually, that's on. Mariska is actually taking the lead on that. So that has been a conversation that we've been having to make decommission some of the items that are there that have been there over almost 30 years now. So some need to be removed and planned for what's next. That type of thing.
Is anything?
I just want to say, though, that is.
You want to come up? Sorry, that's okay. Or come sit here.
Okay. I just want to say that that is specifically the Pineapple Grove Arts District that we're talking about, because there's a lot of art in Del Rey. It's not all under our purview, under the DDA purview. Our jurisdiction is really just the Pineapple Grove art, because that's what was transferred to us.
Yeah, but we should know the art in our district also, and if
We do. We
something's
have
tired, and we can talk to a property owner or the art, whoever's responsible, just to make sure it's addressed.
We have, that was part of my doing with the Del Rey Art Trail, documenting all of that. There are still many pieces, though, that were over the course of years through the Public Art Board, not necessarily documented well. So I still need a list from them that I've been trying to put together. So
Right. Yeah, there are some murals that need to be updated. Some of the longer that have been there for long term that weren't really part of the Pineapple Grove Art program.
Right.
So those are things I think that we've also been discussing with how do we move forward with getting those
But we're on
upgraded
top
or
of it.
redone.
we are.
But you're on top of it?
We are.
All right,
It's
Mushka, then
definitely not a
we'll get
fast-moving
something.
train.
Maybe we can have that as an agenda item next time, so we can give Jim and Brian some closure on that.
Great.
Because they won't sleep.
I'm just going to use
Thank
the
you,
city
Mariska.
app and take pictures of the artwork and just see what happens. Yeah, exactly. Watch the flow.
We have them. We have photos.
Yeah. No, but I like to use the Del Rey Beach app. Anytime I can plug it, I'll plug it every meeting.
Let's move on to the minutes, because we're going to end
Yes.
up running out of time.
Yeah. That's great. Thank you.
Are there any questions on the minutes from last meeting?
Okay, moving on. To
No.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Here's the vote.
Jim Knight,
Yes.
Vera Woodson,
Yes.
Brian Rosen,
Yes.
Alan Costello,
Yes.
Cole Davids,
Yes.
and for the
Thank you.
record, Harold Bernardum and Aaron Oliverton are not present.
Okay. Laura, we have a couple of board members that want to bring up some special stuff on this, I believe.
Yes. What's that? Are you sure? Okay. All right, so yes, item 3B, which is our downtown parking in lieu discussion. This was brought up to the, as you all know, the June 10th board meeting where Cole and Brian and Vera were both part of that discussion. This is currently following our DDA board meeting. The City Commission is going to be reviewing the in lieu, this item, and wanted to share with you all again to discuss this so that way we can revisit it. I know there were some comments that came after and wanted to allow time for the board to discuss. I also went back through the history books of the DDA on in lieu, found some items that could be worth sharing, but I wanted to, this conversation, since we didn't get a chance to talk about it last week, really have that robust discussion. So from here, we can take any recommendations or more recommendations to the workshop following this meeting.
Well, before you go and then you go, I just want to say that to make sure everyone knows, I don't know if everyone read the letter from Roy Simon, but what's most important to me is that the DDA was basically started to cure the problem of parking, and the in lieu program was invented by the DDA, or started by the DDA with the city, and we administered it for a long time until we turned it over to the city. And there have been, as the program states, 42 claims for in lieu parking that have been approved, and there's several $1 million in a bank account somewhere, but it seems that all the money that's been collected and 50 years worth of in lieu stuff, and the money's never been used for parking. And the thing that got me the most was, if just so I can quote it right here, I don't have it, I have it here hopefully, so it'll be easy to get to. And in the, oh God, this is that piece where the guy says, I can't believe I lost it.
Do you want to come back?
No, I
turn it over to Jim.
Yeah, just in the very beginning, in section 241 relief, it just says that the parking fee is payment to the city's parking management fund as an alternative to providing the required parking on site. And then it says, fees shall be used for parking or pedestrian bicycle infrastructure. So for 50 years, we've been collecting for parking spaces, and then suddenly, I don't know when this was interjected, but it wasn't always there about pedestrian bicycle infrastructure. We never used the money for parking, which is what was supposed to be created. The idea was we didn't have parking. We collected money in order to institute more parking in the city. The DDA stepped up and got the village parking lot donated and got the railroad parking lot enlarged and donated, but the city never seems to step up and use the money for what it's for. That's what's on my mind first more than anything. And now, Jim.
Thank you, and I appreciate the time with this. And I believe it affects more than 100 people. So I do have clients that have properties in the downtown. I do not own any properties in the downtown. But what catches me a little bit, we just rolled back the millage rate to keep that down. Cut the budget significantly for the DDA as a result of part of that. That was part of it, so forth. And to turn around and then increase the expense of the in lieu parking when historically I don't know where the parking has been built or where the money is or anything else. I'm a little cautious about turning around and now increasing it and cutting areas out when there's some areas that still haven't been developed, whether it's south of Atlantic and the 4th block, 3rd block, or north of Atlantic up that way, so forth. And going back and looking through some of the master plans, I've been in literally every vision program going back for 30 plus years here in the city, maybe longer. Delray Beach, it even states in one of them, is 98% developed, that there's only 2% of the lands available out there and so forth. The program's been used 42 times since 1970s. Where's that money? What was it utilized for? I just want to make sure that it's being utilized for what it's supposed to be utilized for. Again, there's only a small amount of land back out there, and if you look historically at the garages that have been built, it's either been a private, public type scenario that's been done, or it's been done through the bond issues like Old School Square, parking garage, things like that, and that's through the grants and things like that. I've driven through a lot of the parking lots, yes, when there's big events. Now, I'm not here in the downtown at 11 o'clock at night. Some of you younger folks on the board, I'm sure, are and out and in the garages, but I'm not. I'm not that one. So, but I have driven through a lot of the garages. There are new private parking garages. There are a lot of new private parking lots as well, and public parking lots. And I think it's important for us to really analyze and look at where that money is, what it's been utilized, get a real synopsis of the parking that's out there, and is it truly a parking shortage? I mean, if you talk to some of the people, like Brian knows a lot about the development and so forth, our code basically requires a much greater amount of parking. I mean, there's a number of developments here. Caspian, they've got 70 odd parking spaces over and above what the code is because of the Bell South building across the way, which is a POP, which is never going away. And so I think we have a lot more parking out there than is necessary. Now, we don't have a ton of parking right there in front of the store, right? And that was all part of the what was the gentleman's name?
Gibbs.
Gibbs study. Gibbs. I want to say Fibs. I don't know why, but Gibbs study that talked about how they need to have the parking rates high enough so the cars move. So there's always one turnover, one always moving off the block and so forth. And yet we have some other areas where it's free parking for the surface parking, yet they're charging in the garages. So it's kind of a catch-22. If we're trying to serve the employees, and I fully get it and understand, the people that are working in the service sector, the restaurants, the retail stores, things like that, they should have a place to park for free. But I think maybe that's better in some of the parking garages that are not the closest space, because we want our customers to be able to park at the closest spaces and that are paying for goods and services and so forth. So I think right now, and I have heard from a number of different property owners and so forth, that this may not be the time to go ahead and make such a drastic increase. Again, coming back to the comment that we just roll back the millage rate and everything else to keep the expenses down, not only to the property owners, but the business owners and so forth. So it would be my recommendation to take action on this item if the board sees fit to recommend that they leave it the way it is. That would be my recommendation.
Cool.
So can I just clarify, because the intent on the just the in lieu changes is to incentivize revitalization, right? So that's only if there's the increase would be if there's brand new development, and there with the point of in lieu is to encourage revitalization. The current fees where they are now are in play were also to do that, but at a lesser. It was like $12,000 per space in the core versus now they would take it to 25, or no, it's 23,000.
23 going to 50, if I recall correctly.
For new development, right? Or 23 to 25
Right.
would it be, right?
The
Mhm.
double.
Right.
Yeah, it's not, the incentive's not there when you take away.
Well, the incentive would be not to rebuild and start from scratch, but to try and rehab and refurbish an existing.
Even if you rehab and you change the use, you're going to get affected by parking and would need in lieu parking, whether you kept the use the same exact shape and size.
Well, but they don't want to. They're trying to protect the historic building, which is really not what the in lieu is.
That's not actually happening, because the smaller lots are actually one of the things I was going to, if I may.
Yeah,
Chair,
go ahead.
I had a couple things to talk about this. And these would be some of the suggestions I'd bring up to the city if we have the opportunity. We can talk about everyone's ideas on this. But for a development that's a whole city block, this definitely can make sense. What happens is the city doesn't have a lot of full city blocks. There's a number of smaller parcels and properties that are to be developed. The one thing this code does not take into account is in our LDRs on any primary street, Federal, Atlantic, Pineapple Grove, you have to have all your frontage of the building on the street. They want that so the walkability. But if you do that, it takes away a bunch of the parking. So a number of these properties that are smaller properties that are maybe non-conforming already use, and it was an office and you want to make it retail, you'd have to pay the in lieu spaces. And it's $50,000 a space. And there is no discussion in this regarding whether the property is formally historically designated, which I think they may want to include something in there and some ideas about that, or whether it's not formally designated, but a contributing factor historically per their report. I think, that's something they should look at. Keep in mind, lots that are less than like 75 feet don't have the parking requirements. 65.
Right.
But if it goes to like 75 or 100, all the requirements are necessary. And for a huge development, that makes sense. But for a small property with a small building, it's really not incentivizing. It's actually hurting what anyone could do there. Last couple things. There was during the pandemic, they had a thing where, and it's not just during the pandemic, I guess in the code it's not clear, because if a property owner was creating public spaces as part of their development, at one point it was a 1-to-1 credit if you created a public space. And again, this could be for these smaller properties. They have to create a sidewalk, they're giving up their drive-in. These are real circumstances around the city. And when they give that up and they don't really have enough room, it's what's going on here?
Sorry about that.
Sorry. Oh yeah. So if they're creating street parking spaces on property, there was a 1-to-1 credit, but then it went down to like a 1/2 if they use in lieu. But they're still creating on-street parking, and I just think the code needs to be clear. Hopefully they look at this and keep it 1-to-1, because that's kind of fair and makes sense. If they're creating parking, they should get credited for it, even if it's in the street, it didn't exist before. And those are my main couple points. I tried to keep them succinct.
I have just a few things, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Well,
Go
I'm
ahead,
still
go
waiting
ahead.
for him
Oh,
to...
you waiting on Cole
No,
again?
go ahead.
This poor kid cannot...
I'm in no rush. Go
Okay,
ahead.
all right, okay.
Okay, well, mine are actually kind of dovetailing with what Jim said. I feel like the parking is, how the kids say, if you know, you know. If you know where to park, you know where to park, And listen, Suzanne has done a wonderful job of putting out the information. I happened to watch you on Instagram when you talked about the parking and the free parking on A1A, but not everybody has access or that comes into the city knows where those things are. So that's part of the problem. The other thing you talked about is, where is the money going? Okay, we've collected this. We should have a sack of bags all sitting on the floor full of cash from all the years that we've been doing this. And it makes me reflect to when I was a teacher, we used to always ask, where is the lotto money? Where is the lotto money? Where is the lottery money? We never saw it. We were like, where is it?
It goes to education.
So, it goes to education. Yeah, it goes to education. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we used to always ask that question. But my concern was, we're taking such a large leap. Like, there's such a big gap in the numbers we're asking for. And what you stated, we've made all these cuts, and now we're going to go and hammer somebody else to bring the bag to us. And so that just seems like it's a little disingenuous that we're cutting over here and now we're going and grabbing money from somewhere else at this exorbitant amount, which is leaps and bounds from where we were. I understand that we do need to develop and incentivize people to build over on the west, but when you looked at the CRA map from the meeting that we went to, the main drag is landlocked by CRA's purchase of those parcels. So unless they can sell them, this is a moot point in order to develop it over there, until they can release some of those parcels and we can get that whole oil situation in the median taken care of. So in terms of developing on the west, like, how's that going to happen? We've had 2 meetings and I'm trying to put all of the pieces together, and it's not going to happen if...
Well, the in lieu is really not so much the West right now, but it will be.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Yes, it's
no argument.
incentivized. Yes.
I have another similar problem with the West and the tenant situation, just like I have with parking. We have, I apologize for not letting you speak. Eventually, you'll get to talk all. But just like we have property, and we're all excited to see development on the West, and yet they've developed very few parcels that are officially ready to go, and they can't find tenants. We have a parking garage, and we have issues on parking, and we're charging people $23,500 for parking spots that don't exist right now, and yet people aren't using our old school square parking garage like they should. So, and I think that we should be using the money from the in lieu parking to use as seed money for the bond or whatever to build the Gladiola lot, which is 275 additional spots on top of the Gladiola lot 75 that currently exists. 2012 it was designed. It could have been built certainly for a lot less money. But with only 42 actual in lieu requests being delivered and only having a few $1 million in the account, it's except for the fact that it should have generated interest at about double and triple over the last 50 years, and it should be worth at least $5 million. I don't know how the city's calculating it. It costs a lot of money for parking, and to build that lot at $35,000 at least per spot for 275 spots is, I don't know how much, $30 million now instead of 12. Bottom line is we have in lieu because there was no parking, and it was supposed to help generate parking. We've never used it for parking. Now they want to use it possibly for pedestrian ways. Now this discussion is based on not creating a historic zone, but instead using this in lieu money to somehow control historic changes or not changes on property. Meanwhile, we're still not building parking, and people are still complaining that there's limited parking, and yet they don't use the old school square lot, and I'm in a total circle, and I hear the same things over and over again. Why aren't we building? And then should we be building? Or should we be building bicycle racks because people eventually are only going to ride their bikes into town? And I've heard that recommended by the Commissioner Jim Chard at the time. Okay, so there's no answer from me, from you, or from you now.
You want to hear my no answer?
I want you to. I think you should save the day.
No, originally I was for this. Then I thought it over and did some more homework and got some more feedback from people. What Brian was saying was all the major lots have already been developed, so everything that's left is quarter acre lots, 0.3 of an acre. To go underground, I think you need 100 feet or so. So that's like really most of these lots you can't go underground parking. And I'd rather see a redeveloped lot than in a tired building that no one can do anything with. Then more redeveloped lots, I think it'll just push people into the garages. I mean, I'd rather see a thriving downtown where people have to park in a garage. I mean, you go to West Palm and you park in a garage because that's where the parking is. I think it'll just force people into the garages. I've kind of changed my mind on this whole thing, and like we always said, there's what am I thinking of? I'm blanking. Okay, but either way, basically there's like an A+ parking problem. There's not a parking problem. There's just a high end parking problem. Go ahead.
Yeah, if I may. And I'll be short. It's just to tail off what both of you are saying. The problem is, and again, I'm going to be short with it because we're talking about parking in lieu, but parking management, we don't have a parking management full plan in the city where ideally the garages are free and the lots are charged, and it will move traffic around versus the lots on the ground getting filled all day and all night, and then the garage is not being used. So that's just, we'll maybe have a workshop on parking management, but we'll try to keep it on in lieu now.
Today at 3:30 with the commission.
Are you going to the workshop
Yes,
after this to
I
tell
am.
them what we discussed here?
I would like to, yes.
Okay.
I'd like to be able to share
Chair?
something. So,
Chair?
Yeah, go ahead.
To follow up on Brian's comment, if I'm parking in the garage and I got to walk past 5, 7, 10 different businesses, I might spend some money at those businesses parking at the garage as opposed to parking right in front of the one spot, walking in and walking out.
So I guess the question I'm concerned about here right now is we're talking about, like, this is an in lieu discussion, right? So this is, there are definitely parking management, driving people to the garages, driving them off street to park. is important. So that's all part of the system and the ecosystem we have. I think when it comes down to in lieu was meant to always be a incentive, not a money maker, right? And that's actually a quote in this document I have here. It says, so it says back in '88, it says that when the parking in lieu was changing again, it says the concept changed from one of inducement to one of money making, consequentially reversing the revitalization trend in downtown, moving people outside of the CBD to build their businesses. So I think from a perspective from this, you all approved this the first time with as an incentive for revitalization and rehabilitation of buildings. If there's a change in what specifically do you want to see now the change to? Not approving this, keeping the in lieu program as it was, or suggesting and recommending to the commission to reduce the rates, reduce something, change something. I guess I want something more specific.
My opinion is like this de-incentivizes, rehabilitation and everything.
Okay.
Yeah. So
that's good.
I would try to get the board to reduce the rates, because doubling the rates, is a bit extensive, especially in this market environment. Look at, the size of the lots and the buildings, understanding that they have to meet the LDRs, which a lot of the time will impact the amount of parking they can produce on the property. And, this, again, can apply to larger properties they're looking at, but they should have something if the property is a certain size, but besides the 65 feet, none, and then everything, and then the other part was the credits, which is part of the in lieu parking. It should be 1-to-1. And then if they want to, this is really for the city, but if they want to look at historically designated or historically relevant properties and provide some other incentives to try to see redevelopment and revitalization while at the same time, keeping the structure, but maybe for the change of use, to see things happen, I think that would be important to be included in the in lieu.
I think one other important thing, if I can mention, is that May of 2023, a zoning in progress was done. We're now in October of 2024. They extended this through December. If there was a huge pile of people saying, oh, this is an incredible thing, I'm going to jump in there, I would think we'd have about 15 or 20 different companies or business owners saying, yeah, we're dying to get in here. But no one's coming in and saying, yeah, we're dying to do the in lieu. So just by increasing it goes right back to the concept of you're punishing the businesses and the property owners.
Laura, so the reason we're moving at all in this is because they want to either preserve the historic structures, they want investment in West Atlantic, or they want adaptive reuse of an existing building. That's why they want to raise it or give away. So in order to make an existing building rehabbed as opposed to being torn down and rebuilt, they're offering to give a credit, a reduction, or some sort of a free, no in lieu parking. However they're going to, I couldn't figure out from this what percentage would be gifted or given. I couldn't tell. I saw a 25% figure. I saw 1-to-1. I couldn't figure. So I hate to be ignorant about this, but I am. I feel funny about this. But ultimately, it's no longer about creating parking spots. It's now just like a punitive moneymaker. So if you want to tear down a building and build what this dream business that you have in your mind, the city is going to just charge you to death for parking spaces that don't exist, and then use the money for something maybe in the future or maybe not. That's what it seems like to me. Am I missing something? Am I reading this wrong? Can someone clearly tell me that the city is charging you $50 for a reason, which that reason to me is just they don't want you to tear the building down.
And it's technically to create more parking and future.
Yeah, I've heard that.
But I said the same thing, Al. There is, number one, maybe if there was a meeting I should have gone to, but how do we get to 50? What is the...
How do we get to 23?
Wait, it might have been indexed for inflation over the last X amount of years.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Was
is.
that it? So
Yeah.
now all of a sudden you're going to hit all the new people with what you should have been doing all along in increments?
Well,
Is
that's
that
the way
what
it
it
always
is?
goes, though. That's sort of the way things naturally go. But the fact is that if you don't want a building, if you don't want them to tear down a building, but instead to rehab an existing historic structure, giving them a break of some kind, I can understand that. But if they do want to build, penalizing them, I don't understand. I don't understand why the city itself wants to penalize. If they're using the money for parking spaces, I don't think it's penalizing. You're buying parking spaces, thank you. That's, I'm lucky I was grandfathered in. Otherwise, I have 1,000 square feet. It would have cost me, I don't know, $100,000, which I could ill afford to spend.
No, you'd need 12 per 1,000, so you'd need
There
12
you go.
times 50 grand.
Yeah, well, that's
That's over $500,000.
So I have
650 grand.
I
just
also
to
have
do
a
the
question
math.
because this was being presented
unbelievable to
in
me.
just Delray terms. Because I thought to myself, competitively, what does this look like compared to other cities? And if I'm coming in and I want to start a business or develop, is it cheaper for me to go somewhere else and do this as opposed to this plan? So I couldn't put my head around what decision I should be making without those other pieces to go with this. So
This
that's
is just in the CBD.
yeah, I know.
Right.
I'm saying
Which
if
is other places in Dublin.
What if I decide that at Boynton, I'm deciding between the two? Does this then make the decision for me to go to the other city altogether?
I'm sure it's done that plenty of times.
This isn't working too because correct me if I'm wrong, but the cost of dirt is so expensive that you have to tear down and build new. You need more square footage on these old buildings. Like you can't make sense of the numbers buying the dirt with a 2,000 square foot building on it, right? I mean,
Unless you're stuck with the current use.
But there is a need for historic protection of some buildings, and Delray has a lot of historic buildings, and there's a question that people are juggling. Do we create a historic zone where nothing can be torn down, or do we find a way to incentivize people per building and then not create a whole zone? And that's what this does. They want to say, if you'll keep that building there and work with it as it exists, we're going to give you a break.
Not true, because if you change the use, if it was,
You can't change the use.
Right. You
Well,
can't turn to a
restaurant will
restaurant. You
always-
can't change it if it was like a little gym that wanted to take over a retail space, or there's a lot of things that are different scenarios than what you're saying.
No, I'm
It's
saying
not about-
that's just what it's saying. I'm not. But my idea would be, listen, I started with the DDA a long time ago because I didn't want meters on the street, and I didn't believe that putting meters on Atlantic Avenue was going to help generate the turnover they promised, and I didn't believe that customers wouldn't be intimidated and want to go down to Linton where there's no metered parking. But I stand corrected. I mean, we fought hard and we still got meters, and the turnover's been better, and there's been more spaces available on the avenue. It has not hurt business, and so I wonder if there isn't a genius to this that I'm missing, which is why I brought up the two things that are most important to me. If it's for parking, then let's use the money for parking and not wait 50 years to develop the parking. If it's not for parking, if it really is good for historic preservation or for other reasons, then fine, but I don't understand it and see it as clearly as others seem to. And $50,000 for a parking spot that doesn't exist just seems punitive to me. Jim?
Laura, can we move this from discussion to a motion, to an action item?
We can.
So I guess the first question I would ask is if there's a consensus to move it from a discussion to an action item.
If someone can quantify and qualify a statement that makes it a motion, I'd love to hear it.
So my motion would be that the in lieu parking is not broken, that there is quite a bit of parking here in the downtown, and that we should leave it right now. There's not been a big use of it over the years, since 1970, 42 times. They have not actually, and I'll whittle it way down here in a minute, just going over the discussion concept, that they haven't actually built parking with it. I love your concept of taking whatever $2 million and hopefully it's grown to 5 or whatever it's at amount of money and putting that towards starting the Gladiola lot. That would be phenomenal. That location is desperately needed for parking over there. So my motion would be, make it very succinct, is that to leave the parking in lieu the way it is today and not to modify
Can
it.
you incorporate the Gladiola lot in that?
Absolutely, if that's permissible. And yes, to leave the parking lieu the way it is, take the funds that they've collected over the years for parking garage or parking spaces and put that towards getting the Gladiola lot out of the ground.
I can't second it.
Second. I'll second.
Oh, we got a second. Laura?
Roll call, please.
Cole David,
Yes.
Alan Costello,
Yes.
Brian Rosen,
Yes.
Vera Woodson,
Yes.
Jim Knight,
Yes.
and for the record, Harold Van Arnhem and Aaron Halliburton are not present.
Okey-dokey.
And then I know it's not part of the motion, but can we talk about the smaller properties? Just make sure when we talk about the conversation with the city, we talk about the smaller
If we'd
properties.
like to amend the motion or somehow, we'd be
I didn't,
happy to.
Let's hear it.
Well, Claire, want to clarify
No.
smaller properties?
You can make a new
Yep.
motion, but I want to amend
All right,
the old.
and then
'cause it's
I'll
already
just take a
passed.
shot and see if it's supported.
Okay.
But I'd like to make a motion just to have the city look at the requirements for the smaller properties, taking into account the LDRs and setbacks and so forth and frontage needed to provide some additional relief from whatever in lieu program they may put into place, as well as look at keeping the 1-to-1 ratio of parking. If you create on-street parking as part of a development, that it gets attributed to that development.
I'd second that, absolutely.
Can we add that to the first one and revote? Can we
No.
have two?
No, that-
Oh, we
two
can have two
motions.
action items. That's awesome. Then we have a first and a second.
Jim Knight,
Yes.
Vera Woodson,
I need further. I'm sorry. So I don't know if you want to get everybody else's vote and
No,
then.
ask the question.
Okay, okay. So if the smaller entities are what we're discussing, and I know it's a backbreaking situation financially for them. Usually, a smaller business doesn't have the access to what the larger developers do. What is it that we're looking for then? And maybe that's what I need explanation on.
I'm just looking for some relief. Right now, it's 12 spaces per 1,000 square feet. So if it was a 1,000 square foot building that was changing into a different use, they may need 12 parking spaces, which would be a cumbersome number to meet the code. So I'd be looking for the city to provide some relief to
Yeah.
that. I'm not going to tell them what
is.
it should be.
Okay, well,
just-
that's what I was wondering.
yeah.
What we were trying to tell them, because if it's kind of vague.
I'm just bringing
what
it to
that
their
could be.
attention, saying, hey,
He's just raising the concern.
But that's why I was wondering why we needed to vote. If he's just bringing this as a
So that it
concern,
can
wouldn't
be-
Laura address those in her notes when she speaks to the?
Well, if she's speaking on behalf of the board,
Why
a
not?
motion would be stronger in that
Okay.
discussion.
Okay,
I
can we
think
restate
that's-
the motion, please?
I'll give it a shot. I'd like to make a motion to have the city look at providing some relief regarding for the in lieu parking program to smaller properties and footprints, keeping in mind the LDRs and frontage and setbacks that are required of these buildings, and to also look at keeping it a 1-to-1 credit if they're creating on-street parking as part of the development.
Second again.
Cole David,
Yes.
Alan Costello,
Yes.
Brian Rosen,
Yes.
Vera Woodson,
Yes.
Jim Knight,
Yes.
and for the record, Harold Van Arnhem and Aaron Halliburton are not present.
And may I say that if I thought that we were going to get those two resolutions out of this board for this, I would have. I'm not going to dance on the table or anything, but I'm very happy and very proud of what you. I think that was amazing work, guys. I really do, because I think the city is confused, and I think that we gave them some real. I hope we get a chance to present it today.
Feel free to attend.
I'll be there.
And help me out on the on the
I brought
comments.
snacks so that I could stay.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody.
Wow.
All right. So next on the agenda, which just for a time check, just so you know, it's 2:22.
We talked about possibly having
I have
DDA business.
Just wait, just for one clarification, because I was being texted by a person during this. So, just for clarification, I guess smaller properties don't have parking requirements. That's the
65 feet, but anything over 65 feet of frontage, 75 or 100 is still would be small.
But if you change the
65 's super tiny. I mean, that's like, the OG was 65. It's,
No, it is. It's
you know.
small. And that's been you've got the Truist building, SunTrust, those are smaller properties that do have lots of, parking requirement.
People take advantage of that, though, and we've seen that with the Silver Ball Museum, which always,
Yeah.
the Silver Ball Museum got away with no in lieu parking because they weren't a restaurant, but everyone knew they were going to build a restaurant in it as soon as they got all their approvals, and they did, and they built a bar inside as well, and they didn't have to pay for in lieu parking by working around it.
Well, there's always, unintended consequences. You have, for example, subculture. Subculture has 9 or 6 parking in lieu spaces, and the concern is there is definitely a lot of use of private parking in other areas. It's not necessarily, there's a parking impact. So there are some negative consequences that come from that.
Yeah.
But maybe there's a way to geographically target some of those in lieu. So if we've just given four in lieu, granted 4 in lieu applications for north of Atlantic Avenue, would that in lieu or those funds be targeted for redevelopment in that area or put in investment in that area? I don't think that's possible because it's not enough money to build up parking in those areas. But that's, that you'll see heavier on one side, or for management of that. It's just something to consider in the management plan going forward, I guess.
I also toyed with this because I thought, well, if the development is going on in the west, but it's going to be a pot of money, will this money then be transferred to the east for the parking issues? And so, because that's where the heavy parking issues are right now until you develop the west. So I had a lot of questions, and that's why I was hesitant in my approach to this. But thank you for letting us air it all out and have a discussion so that we can all share in what we thought.
Well, right, and to follow up too is that when as in lieu was being developed, there was, as it was also the acquiring of parking lots at the same time. So I think to the point of where's the investment when there is in lieu, where is that investment going? And how do we continue to see that going forward? So to your point of your motion,
and one last thing that we didn't talk about, and that is that when hotels are built and when actually when everything is built, the city development department never takes into account the employees in a business. And we always bring it up, and they always ignore it, and they always tell us, well, there's nothing in the LDRs about it, but they still it never gets discussed, and it never gets changed. When a hotel comes and builds, there's 200 employees in that hotel, let alone the thousands of other employees that are all over town. We're not addressing any of that, and it just never seems to get addressed. And I don't know how it fits into the in lieu problem, because even if we do address it, even if we do get the money for the in lieu, they never use it anyway. So hopefully the money's there. The money, they claim they know where the money is. I don't understand how the interest hasn't accrued, but I just think this is a great first step. I think what we did today was really good. I'm really happy.
Okay, good.
Not you?
I'm good.
I'll deliver it. I don't care.
She's happy. DDA board monthly recap.
Yes, moving on. No, I just want trying to keep it on time. So, I think this is, we've got a good step. So we'll be able to bring more back on what actually happens this afternoon. So 3C, we've got our updates from our team for September. It's definitely
We'll keep it quick.
That's fine. But just with those 2 storms that we just faced in the month of September, and our thoughts and prayers are with everybody throughout this entire southeast region of our country. It has definitely put us to the test of, again, making sure that everybody's got their emergency plans, the downtown, working with our Florida downtowns across the state. St. Pete reported to us today that, they've had some serious, they've dodged some great bullets, but they're dealing with some serious challenges over there. Up to the north of us in West Palm and Martin County, definitely severe issues and tragic things. So we have to remember that we're not done with hurricane season yet, but just staying mindful of that as we go into hurricane season next, just making sure that we have plans in place. Things are happening. St. Pete's actually there's cities looking at eliminating high-rise development during hurricane season. So cranes are no longer on top of buildings. So it's interesting how outcomes come from things like this. So, but our team jumped into action, and city did as well, even though we were less of a threat. So thank you. Thanks for understanding and pivoting with us last week.
Laura, can I say thank you to you all for putting out that message, welcoming the people that were being displaced during the storm, coming over here to find shelter and hopefully safety temporarily until they returned. But I thought that was a great message. I know they're in the comments section. I live in the grays, as they say. I like to see how America is actually talking. And there were a few people that were not satisfied with the message, or I should say not happy that the message went out. And I thought to myself, how cold can you be in the moment of need of some people? But I want to tell you, from me, it was a great message, and I would have appreciated being displaced and coming here. And thank you for thinking of those people. Thank you.
Thanks for that recognition. All right, team, jump on in.
Okay, so yeah, September was, we had some pivoting to do because of those storms. But was our big, Restaurant Month was our big program that happened in September. So I just want to give you guys some of the results. Once again, this is a look at the advertising plan that we put together for Restaurant Month, very extensive advertising plan. You can see from the web results. So the web page, our Restaurant Month web page, is the landing page for all of our advertising, right? All the QR codes from all the TV commercials, all of the signage, all of the rack cards, all of that goes directly to a link that links to this page. So this page is a good indicator of how our Restaurant Month is doing, like how many people are visiting this page. And as you can see from last month, it was over 21,000 page views. And in last year, we had less than 10,000. So we more than doubled the amount of views going to Restaurant Month, to our Restaurant Month page. And also you can see that the average time spent on that page, almost 3 minutes. That's unheard of in the digital age, that people are spending 3 minutes on one page. So last year it was about 2 minutes. So we're really proud of those numbers. The top restaurants that got clicked: Deck 84, Sazio, Death by Pizza, Amar, and Deeks. They all do a really good job themselves of marketing their Restaurant Month offerings in addition to our marketing. This is just to look at our social media. We rely heavily on social media through Restaurant Month. We had a bunch of organic posts, an influencer that was helping us out, Take a Bite out of Boca. She had not only 4 reels that she did, but also numerous stories throughout the month when she visited all these different restaurants. You can take a look at our paid advertising that we did on social, which was almost 500,000 impressions that we got, 20,000 clicks throughout the month. So it really was a successful social media campaign. Public relations, I mentioned this last month. This is huge for us as well. We got a lot of attention to Restaurant Month through our public relations team, about $5 million worth of coverage. And then this is what really tells the story. And this is only 5 restaurants that got back to us. Obviously, we're relying on them to tell us their numbers. But as you can see, Dada killed it. 1,232 deals were redeemed throughout the month. That was a revenue of $55,000 for them, which is huge. Deck 84, 620 deals redeemed. That's about $15,000 in revenue. La Colonial, 259, 11,000. These are just 5 of the restaurants. And you're looking at, I'm not good at math, but maybe $75,000 there in revenue from just these 5 restaurants. So we had 43 restaurants participating. And I'm hoping that we get some more numbers from some of the other restaurants. A lot of them don't want to give out their numbers, but we appreciate the ones that do. Deck 84 is always really good about being transparent with us about how they did year to year. And this was really interesting because, as you can see here for 2024, they had about 620 deals redeemed, and that is higher than what we did or what they did in 2023. And the same with revenue. They were slightly up over last year for their revenue. The one interesting part about Deck 84 is they said that their September overall numbers were lower over last year, but their restaurant month offering was higher. So that is good. Even though their overall restaurant sales were down, they did have a bump in revenue and in sales for the restaurant month.
That states is without that promotion, they would have been sunk in the water. No pun intended, since they're on the water, but they would have been lower overall had they not been involved in that promotion.
Yeah,
so
but it really
did make a difference.
It really does show the power of Restaurant Month and how it is so important for a lot of these restaurants. Obviously, Restaurant Month is an economic development program for our businesses, but here's some of the other things that we did this month as far as economic development. We, as you all know, went to the International Downtown Association Conference in Seattle. Laura Maruska and I went and accepted the award for the Achievement Award for our management and operation of Old School Square, so that was really special. We also hosted an online merchant meeting. We did this last month online, and it really does increase the number of people who can come or who can attend those meetings. We did a very comprehensive meeting. We had the Clean and Safe team there from the police, and we got a lot of feedback from our businesses. They want us to review the sign code with the city, talk about hours of operation and the code on that, and also a lot of clean and safe issues. So we did get a lot of feedback from our businesses on what is important to them. We also welcomed several new businesses. Lots of new businesses are opening in downtown. On the left-hand side, that is Iron and Oak Home, which is our first furniture store in downtown Delray in a very long time. Very exciting, and their stuff is beautiful. The middle is La Boulangerie, which is a little bakery and coffee shop right there in the 500 block right next to Costa, and that is one of their coffees that they made. They hand make those beautiful designs on top of their coffees, really beautiful. And then on the right is a new concept called the Tox. It's sort of like a med spa, but they do lymphatic drainage. It's very interesting, and it's a chain. Well, they just started franchising. They started in LA, and this is one of the first franchises that they have opened in our area. And it's a local franchise. So this woman is local. She's from Delray Beach, and she bought into that franchise. Holiday lighting. Laura, you want to talk about this quickly?
Sure. So we are finalizing our holiday lighting for proposal for the upcoming holiday season. Would be installed mid-November. So this is a look at some of our activations that were on Atlantic Avenue between Swinton, so we'll start from the top, Libby Plaza. So this is a proposal. We're going to really light up Libby Wesley Plaza, and add the star. That's a 6-foot large star burst that's there that matches the smaller stars that is down in the lower right-hand corner, which we put in place last year, all down Atlantic Avenue, so it ties it in together. And we'll outline the stage, really brighten that space up. The beach pavilion, we're going to add the garland on the bottom rails. Atlantic Avenue, red lights around the top. Prague Alley and the West Settlers District have our wreaths that we've created. Pineapple Grove have the pineapple palettes. Atlantic Avenue, we're looking at adding in all 4 poles on the intersection where we have 2 wreaths, and then we'd have the starburst. So just to really embellish and create the whole space. Yes, ma'am.
Well, I didn't mean to cut you off. That's
okay.
why I raised my hand.
Yes.
Okay, good teacher raises her hand.
So that, and then one thing that's not on here was we also do the visitor center on A1A as well. So, yes, ma'am.
Could we do a promotion behind when all the lights are set and we light up the night in Delray to get people to come out? to see that one switch. You know how they light up the
I would
Christmas
love
tree,
to do
but
that.
we light up the night in Delray, have everybody come out so that they'll go to restaurants and stuff from coming out that night so that we can get some more traffic to come down. Just one more reason to bring everyone downtown to be together.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very good.
I'll get right on
told you,
that.
I taught marketing. I could go on, but there you go.
We need an event chair and our event committee, and you're the chair.
Promotional. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Just read these quickly. These are just our regular marketing numbers, social media, email. You can see the numbers are up. Public relations through the roof. I mean, you can't buy this coverage. I know I say that every time, but I really mean it. Save the date. Art and Jazz on the Avenue is a week from tomorrow. Please, please, please save the date. Beachside. We're changing the footprint a little bit. It's going all the way to A1A. So A1A to Venetian, which is in front of the Seagate. So it's going to be a bigger footprint. We're super excited about that. Almost to the beach. October 26th is Halloween in downtown Delray. We help our businesses with the trick-or-treating. We promote that for them, but we really promote all the things happening that day. The Witches Ride, the parade, Kids Fest. The city puts on the parade and Kids Fest, and Witches Ride is a charity bike tour. And then on November 1st, we have First Friday Art Walk. All right, now switching over to Old School Square quickly. As you all know, we had to postpone the free concert, the Resolvers. We moved it to November 1st, which is the Day of the Dead. So we're going to give it a Halloween theme, which will be fun. We also launched our Twilight Tribute Series, which starts in November on the third Thursday of the month. $10 general admission ticket, $50 VIP ticket. And the tribute, they call her Fake Gwen, because she really does look like Gwen Stefani. That is not Gwen Stefani. That is fake Gwen. So we have, Coldplay, No Doubt, Brooks and Dunn, all kinds of Twilights. All right, Maruska?
So I will be judging the Witches Ride this year.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm excited about that. I've done it for the last 2 years, and they keep calling me back, so I'm pretty excited. So I'll be DDA Witch. Wonderful. So Cornell Art Museum. So for September attendance, we had 995, which is a bit low. We'll talk more about that. Suzanne's got more info. Donations were at $1,400, $1,440. Nature's Palette was huge opening for us. Huge, 500 people. We had 45 artists. All of them came. They all brought their friends, their family. It was tremendous. We had great donations. We had 91 works of art. Now we are knee-deep in hot glass installations, literally. We just hung this gorgeous centerpiece that came from Naples. The gallery had been boarded up. We didn't know if we could get it because of the storm, but it did arrive, so we're excited. The piece in the middle is a piece that was created by Davide Fanchi, who is an Italian artist from Murano, who happened to be visiting at Benzaten, an artist in residence, and created this piece. So we have that in the exhibition, and there's someone interested in buying it, which is really interesting. And this is the power of social media. We took a video of it, sent it to Suzanne. Suzanne put it up. The collectors from Benzaten saw it because they were following what's happening with this exhibition, and they want it because it's on social media. It's wonderful.
When those things dropped, my heart dropped from that video. I was like,
they were very safe and done properly with an insured art handler. We got it all taken care of. Yep. And then on the right, we have an art installation by Jenna Efren, and her work is all done with recycled bottles. So part of our charge is to educate the public, and we want to make sure we tell people, yes, we're creating glass, we create blown glass, fused glass, but we also are repurposing materials that are existing, and we want to make sure to highlight that as well. And we have Sip and Paint coming up next week. That's happening on the 24th from 6 to 9. We have an instructor, Pat Kaufman, who is also breast cancer thriver. So she's going to be leading the group free of charge. We have wine, appetizers, silent auction. And it's proceeds, which I did not put on here. Some of the proceeds will be supporting the Susan G. Komen Foundation for Breast Cancer Awareness Month in October. And then upcoming, I'm working on an exhibition, Icons of Art, with a group from Italy who is creating these incredible icons in the world with mosaics. And it's all student art created in Italy. We have about 50 pieces sitting in Miami right now, and they reached out to us. They want to show it in Delray Beach because they came to our museum, loved it, and they're in. They just came in on Sunday, and they're going to be here for the opening Saturday night, so you'll get to meet them. But that's going to be a great, great thing. It's just a way we've never shown mosaics before, so it's another medium that we're showing in the museum and another relevant contemporary medium, student work. In addition to this same exhibition, on the same floor, we're showing Cape Universal student art with Anthony Baca. So that's going to be a fun thing, too, to do. So that's what we're working on.
Do you want to mention the opening?
The opening for?
Hot Glass.
Oh, it was on there, yeah.
Yes.
I just talked about, yeah.
This Saturday.
Yep, this Saturday. Come
Can
be there.
Can I tell you
Busy
this,
week.
Maruska? I went to a seminar for teachers at the Norton Museum up in Palm Beach, and they were talking about all the museums and everything. And interestingly enough, one of the teachers happened to know about Spady Museum, and I told her, the group about Cornell and about the sip and paint, of course, while the guy who was sitting there over the museum was looking like, why is she here? But, I have to advertise wherever I go. But
and I appreciate that.
I would like to get together with you to share some of the insight that I gleaned from what they have planned, because they didn't know who I was until the end. And I, my sorority sister disclosed who I was kind of in a way. And so I want to tell you about what they're doing, because they're doing some amazing things, but I think you can also add these to your calendar and we can do some spin-offs.
Okay.
Yes.
Always ready to listen.
And as Maruska mentioned about the attendance at the square, we actually saw a drop in attendance over last year, and we were kind of diving into why did that happen? Why? And these attendance numbers just go to show you how important it is to have that campus activated, because when you don't, no one shows up. And so in September of 2024, this year, we had one concert scheduled, and that was postponed due to weather, which was the Resolvers concert. And last year in September, we had a private event. We had that Classic Albums Live, which was a ticketed event, and 2 free concerts that were that was all under the city budget. Yeah, so we had a lot more events happening on campus last year during September, and that just goes to show you that it is very important to keep the campus active.
How can we take this information and project that so that the city understands? They've already cut the budget, we got it. But if you're talking about what's to come, this is the foreshadowing of cutting those events into what's going to happen to the downtown area if we don't come up with a plan to keep it activated. That's right there.
Question: with the sale of the artwork, do we as a museum get a percentage of that? How's that structured?
We are not actually selling the artwork right now because as a DDA we're not selling artwork, but when we have our nonprofit, we could potentially do that. We could potentially sell the art. At this point, it would be Ben Zayton that's handling this sale, and they would give us a donation back. We're not taking a commission on that sale.
Got you. Is there a way in the future to take commissions besides being a non-for-profit if you sell artwork for artists at the museum?
That would be.
Are you not allowed to sell the art that's not for sale? Or is it?
The situation with us, I think, is that we really do not want to compete with our businesses in the downtown, and we have other galleries and so on. So it's difficult for us to purposefully put out, an $8,000 piece of art and take a commission on that. But if it was happening through a nonprofit, it would be a different situation.
We are selling art in the museum store, so there is for sale in the museum store.
Right.
So.
That's only we take.
Yeah, but that's not the Italian glass blown piece that we promoted and got a sale out of. But I understand.
That's something we can look at.
But we will get if that sale goes through, we will get a donation from that, and it will be a donation. It will not be commission.
Yeah, I'm just trying to fill the gap. I'm just looking for opportunities of anything we can do.
And we do sell through the museum store, but that's really only 35%, and it barely defers any cost that we have associated with that.
But certainly, what he's suggesting is logical. If you sell through the store doesn't know whether the art is hanging on the wall or it's in a box in the
It's
back
just
room.
a different number.
It's up to you. No, all you have to do is when the art is put on the wall, there's an agreement. We have an agreement, don't we?
Yes.
Well, in that agreement, it should say if you sell it through the listing, it goes through our store.
Yeah, I think her point was that we have 30 something 40
Galleries,
galleries in
correct.
downtown Delray that is their business.
If someone in the gallery sells their art as it's posted in our art,
We
should get a commission.
We have had sales in the
Well,
past
I know,
where art has
I
been sold and we get a donation back. That's what
I
happens.
think that you should. I just think. I think it should be quantified and it should be contracted so that it's.
It's currently
done.
not contracted
Right,
that
I
way.
understand. Well, I just think when it's brought up and you realize that we're letting money go, and we're crushed with a reduced budget.
That's a decision you would have to make.
Well, I think we have to remember what our mission is. I mean, I appreciate that there is, I mean, we don't want to go into this saying that, okay, we've got budget cuts, so we're going to go to find every way to make money. I think we have to really look at the mission of this again and come back to that. So let us maybe bring back, I hear what you're trying to do and fill gaps, but maybe there's other opportunities.
And also accredited museums. We are not an accredited museum, although we work really hard to function like an accredited, doing the right paperwork, making sure we're insured, all those things. But an accredited museum does not sell art. Their job is to show art.
No, I understand, but the issue is, I guess, our budget ran over for the museum earlier in the year. We were over 100% of our spend per the budget. We had to allocate more funds to that, and we're not going to have the opportunity to do that in the future. But I want to see the museum doing everything that it's doing and more.
Yeah, but I will tell you, you look at places like the Norton, you're looking at the Boca Museum, they have huge endowments. They have tremendous support.
So we
they
have to operate a little
wonderful
differently than
donors.
them, though.
We should be seeking more donors.
Yeah.
We should be seeking more donors. Exhibition underwriting is needed. We need
To
sponsors.
seek donors and do all those things, you generally need, again, more term than we have on the ILA. They generally most donors look for, long-term stuff. Generally, I'm going to tell you,
But it
dealt
would stay
with it
with
before.
that, right? So
It would,
it's not
everything that we
something
do, though, even if I'm
Yes.
buying pedestals, they're staying with the museum now. That's not anything that we're taking away.
We just need to make sure you got money to buy the pedestals. But I understand.
I don't want to
Correct.
take away what you're doing, running it. It certainly seems like an accredited museum, and it's amazing. And making more money is also important. And I don't know how we put all this together, but I think it's a conversation that needs to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I
based
think
on-
what we've done and what we have done since 22 has given us a little bit of background now that we didn't have prior when we first opened. Now we've got people reaching out to us, like this Italian group, saying, we want to put our art in your museum. That's pretty exciting.
I'm hoping the 501c3 will start having events and start making some money.
Yeah.
But
we do still need sponsorships. We
I
need
think
museum
Brian's
underwriting.
right on not to lose. Keep your nose on the ball. I think Brian's
we're
may
not.
not be the right place to go grab some funds, but
Sure.
grabbing money is
We
important.
also
looking-
need them,
I'm just
or if
looking.
if the board members have also leads for us, please share those with us. We know it's a group effort, so that's where we really look to you all to help to do that, to send us if there's someone that we have that you have or you have an interest in or have heard of or maybe wants to have a tour. Those are things that we just turn it over to us and we'll hopefully can do that, but we do need your help.
I think, can I just say this? I understand what, Maruska, you are a pure artist and an artist supporter. And I understand it.
Unfortunately.
Yes, because I was going to say, but in your position, you also have to be that strong businesswoman because they came looking for that art. They didn't look at the other art on the Ave. They looked at that piece. It's like going into a store and there's 5 jean jackets. They bought that one that they wanted and there might have been 2 others, but they wanted that jacket. So taking a portion of those proceeds I don't think is wrong because the advertisement and the effort that went into you curating this should be compensated if they're going to get a sale out of it. It's
I
no
agree
different.
with you, which
Yes.
is why I asked for a donation.
Yes, but I just want to make sure that the
It doesn't
donation
it doesn't
is in
come
alignment with the
automatically.
It's all money.
I want to make sure that the donation is in alignment with the commission because if you were supposed to get $2,000 and they give a donation of $200, there's a big
It's a
gap
problem.
there. Yeah, so that's all I
Got
wanted
it.
to say because I love your pure spirit for art.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I appreciate it.
But
again,
I'm not,
we're trying to.
I'm not above asking.
Thank you. We need to move some merch, as I say. We need
That's right.
to move some merch. Okay, that bag right there is for you as well for Paint and Sip.
Guys,
Thank
it's
you.
10 It's 10:03.
Okay, just really quickly, coming up at the square, as Maruska mentioned, Hot Glass is opening this Saturday, 6 to 9, glass blowing demonstrations, live music, refreshments, meet the artists.
all the things.
And then paint the downtown pink sip and paints next week. November 1st is our free Resolvers concert, and then November 21st kicks off our Twilight Tribute series with Coldplay. And I did want to just show you guys one other thing very quickly that just went out today. This is super exciting. Where is it? Here it is. Okay, so this is we sat down with Todd Benson, who's PEB Capital, and we did a lengthy interview with him that we've turned into this like 3.5-minute piece. We just posted it on our YouTube today. We're going to be chopping it down into individual bites on the different platforms, but it's a very great update on Sunday Village and what's happening there. Todd gave Laura and I a tour of the property and showed us all the exciting things that are happening, when it's opening, who's coming, what's happening with Sunday House. It's really a great video, so if you get a chance, go watch it.
Yep.
The link.
I will.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. That was produced in-house.
I don't know that,
That was
and I'm
produced
sure you
in-house.
did not exclude her, but Maruska, I think you need to tour that since it's going to be close to where you reside, and I think they're going to have some historic elements in there from the city, and I think the museum should be a critical piece in partnering with them for what they're going to be exhibiting.
Yeah,
yes,
definitely.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Board comments?
Board
Thank you.
comments. Cole?
Thanks, team.
I'm all set.
Cole's set. Jim? He's set. Vera?
Believe it or not, I'm
I
done.
can't believe it. Right?
I have comments, but I'll be quick. I just want to ask again, that we follow up with some of the requests from, code enforcement on showing, through their system, when they provide the notice per their policies that he's taken down but are still on the LDRs, and if they comply, and then when the notice of violation is provided, and then the time frame, and then if they have to go to magistrate. Just, it should be a simple, I figure that's how he tracks all of his stuff. And again, my understanding is that's not have to go through a public information request. If Quentin wants to follow up with Lynn on that, you can, but I think as a board we're able to look for this information and not have to go through some formal sandbagging request process.
I question the whole thing of whether we want to run the city code enforcement or not. I mean,
I don't want to run it. I think the police department should maybe take it over.
Specific. Is there a specific complaint? And if there is, I would like to address this.
I think it's bigger than a specific complaint, and it's an issue of they're not doing their job properly over the entire area that we're looking at. So yeah, we can look at little specifics, but I think we need to kind of really, all of their press that they share with us says, hey, this is how we do our job. We provide notice, we talk to the people. If they don't comply, then we give them, all of the annual messaging, even in our meeting, he explained how this is how they operate. But if he's saying that and they can't show us that, because I think it's going to show very differently, not just 1 or 2 people, maybe 50 people, maybe 150 people.
That's my point, because I'm down there, and I've gotten door hangers to paint my building and do other things. And
I'm just looking for the last 6 months for this year. It's a simple request.
Had there been specific complaints?
Yeah, there have been specific complaints,
that's the one
but
I want to address.
I know, but I'd rather address the whole situation than looking at independent situations.
I don't think it's our responsibility.
And 100% is because we're looking after these businesses that operate in our district, and there's no policies and procedures in place. It is our business.
It's not our business to make him produce and prove what he's doing. If we have a complaint, we should make the complaint and have him address it. You can't just say, I want you to give us all your records on all the stuff you've done.
It's a simple tracking of what you're doing if you're managing code enforcement.
It's his business, though, to do that, not ours.
It's our business to understand that there's policies and procedures in place so our businesses understand the roadmap to operate here in Delray.
I don't think that they don't.
Can I chime in and say, I can agree with both of you, but I think what Brian is looking for is maybe for us to take that information and provide it to the city manager to hold them accountable to proving what it is that they state and posting. So you're right, he does need to post it, that's his job, but we need to make sure that our area.
If you're talking about we, you mean the board?
Well,
if we do a board vote, and
no,
that's
not
what
a
we
vote.
decide?
Not a vote. Is that when Laura's having her meetings that she says our board came to a question of why this is not posted, and then it's up to the city manager to follow through and make sure that his his
Quentin
employee
made it
is
clear
doing
that
that.
they don't have to post it, that there is an LDR and that it's clear, right?
What happened, Quentin? Please be clear on this one for me.
The statute doesn't require courtesy notices. The statute doesn't require door hangers. If that's what they do as a policy, that's what they do, but the statute doesn't require them to do that.
If they say they have a policy and are not following that policy, would that be a problem?
What does a problem mean to you?
Would it be an issue if our code enforcement, besides the legal issues that have happened recently, but is putting out to the public and to our board that they're operating under a certain way, but then in fact, in reality, based on how they're operating, the facts, the objective facts, they're not indeed doing what they're telling everyone they're doing?
I don't know what they're doing or not doing. They have certain codes they have to follow based on what the city commission has adopted. We can ask them for certain information. I'm not sure how much you need in order to approve that.
Yes, multiple.
He's complaining that they're not doing what the code says, is what my understanding is.
Which client, which
the reason is
businessman
people feel the retaliation of our code enforcement department is very strong, so I've been requested not to specifically use their names. I'm happy off the record to talk about it, but again, if you see what they're doing, it becomes blatantly clear. But you have it's all public record. They post them. If you want me to, I'll take them off the wall here and scan them all and put them back on, but that shouldn't be our responsibility.
I'm unaware of the complaints, so I don't know how. If it was me, and it is, and I am the chair, I'm saying the board can vote to ask.
The board can request information from certain departments. The board is able to request certain information.
Can request and vote on it, and we can then move forward with it. But I can't tell the city how to do their job.
I'm not looking to tell the city how to do their job.
I feel that if we have people who have complaints, we should address them, certainly, and I want to. And if I had a complaint and I came to the DDA, I would hope they would. But if these are not complaints that we can talk about and they're just general, and you want to make the city come to task and present lists, and you want them to manage their...
How they track, I just want to see how they're tracking it. He does an annual report every year, except he didn't do one last year for some reason, and I couldn't see the information. That's all public. That's a problem. It's transparency, simple.
If it's public, you should be able to see it.
Thank you. I guess we're on the same page.
I don't know if it's public. What are you supposed to do?
I've got the points. I've got Brian's request, and
I wouldn't keep making it unless just nothing's coming. So I don't know.
No, I don't have anything to give you. So so I haven't received that, but we are following. I'm following up with them.
Thank you.
Post our meeting to set up a follow-up meeting with both the assistant city manager and the director.
If you can't say it publicly, can you please present Laura with the names so we know?
Yeah, happy to.
Cool.
It will be public then.
Yeah, that's fine. Oh, okay. If I present them to Laura? All right, well, look, just show us the information, and it's going to be out there on an objective format. That's what I'm trying to do. And it's all public information.
Understood.
And then again, on the other note, as a DDA, we can work with any of the businesses, because I'm only looking at the DDA district that may not be in compliance, to help work with them to come into compliance, which is, again, part of what we're supposed to be doing. It's not outing people and trying to make people look bad. It's trying to create compliance and make sure everyone's playing by the same rules.
Be proactive versus reactive. Thank you.
I have nothing to say other than that.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.